Introducing Under Armour's Infinity High Sports Bra. Its ergonomic design is molded to support the natural movement of your body. With cord-out padding, the better breathability eliminates extra bulk without sacrificing support. And quick-dry padding is Under Armour's fastest-drying padding yet. When you're lifting heavy, running fast, and pushing yourself further than ever before, you need a bra that will help you go that extra mile and make you feel your best. Shop the Infinity High Sports Bra now at UA.com.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hey, what's up? This is Jeff Cobb, and you're listening to Keepin' It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with Chris Samsa from sportofprowrestling.com. On today's show, we'll discuss Forbidden Door, the Golden Fight Series, Wrestling Dontak, and cover all latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating interview. You can also get all the podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWworld.com, with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. Chris, how you doing, man?
Here I am, taking the hot tag, as per usual, here for some Keeping It Strong stuff. No, I'm good. It's probably the first time we've ever started. I feel like this is the first time I've ever been on the show while the sun is up. So little peek under the hood. The sun is still shining here. I still have my window open, so I'm still lively and awake. I haven't fallen asleep just yet.
Yeah, and a little daylight savings action.
Little daylight, little Chicago daylight out here. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Yeah, thanks for filling in. Young boy was out this weekend in New York, just getting back in town. Didn't have time to catch up on everything, and so called in our third man, Chris Samsa, the stat man, the man that has all the deets. Bring him in.
Got the scoops.
Oh,
every now and then, I got the scoops.
Yeah,
I'll never share them. Just put some vague shit on Twitter.
You'll drop some breadcrumbs, even in the DM.
even in your DM.
Like, we talk to this man all the time, and he'll still drop us breadcrumbs in the DMs.
just a GIF. I'll let you figure it out on your own.
Yeah, with the shooter GIF before Windy City Riot.
Listen, I'm not going to tell you who told me that, but you know them as well or better than I do. So
interesting.
They had the scoop.
Feel like I need to start talking to some other people. What's going on here?
Just got to start asking questions. People talk.
Yeah. We got lots of stuff to talk about this week, but I think we got to open up with the biggest news that everybody is buzzing about. Forbidden Door happening in your city of Chicago, because you don't get enough, awesome wrestling shows.
I mean, people keep asking me. I was on a show, what was it, this weekend, and they were like, "You come to Vegas for Double or Nothing?" I was like, "Why would I leave Chicago?" Like, the shows come to me. Yeah, I am blessed. Chicago is good in this era here, but yeah, very excited to see Forbidden Door coming through the United Center, which is a very big building. In June, it's gonna be a really good time.
Yep. So, if anybody's been under a rock, Forbidden Door, joint AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view that will be happening Sunday, June 26th at the United Center in Chicago. This was announced on last week's episode of Dynamite. We had AEW President Tony Khan coming out along with New Japan's President Takami Obari. They appeared on Dynamite getting ready to announce the pay-per-view. They're interrupted by Adam Cole and Jay White. Cole and White ended up dropping the details for the event. Cole then plugged his match with Ishii on Rampage, and then Jay White saying this is all about the Undisputed Elite and the Bullet Club. At this time, we don't have any talent or match announcements announced yet, but Khan did tell Sports Illustrated that the pay-per-view will feature matches with AEW talent facing off against NJPW talent. Tickets will go on sale for the show Friday, May 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The show will air on traditional pay-per-view and on the Bleacher Report app in the United States and on Fight TV for international customers. So, Chris, how are you feeling? The Forbidden Door is, open. It's blown off the hinges. How are you feeling?
It's no longer a door. It's just a pathway. I'm very excited about this. I think I wish they would have named the show something different, but also, what else would you possibly name this show? That's my only critique so far of this event happening. I love that it's happening. I love that it's pretty clear. It seems pretty clear that we're getting AEW versus New Japan. It's not like the Ring of Honor show at Madison Square Garden where it's mostly kind of self-insulated matches from both companies. So it does look like there's a willingness for them to pit their wrestlers against each other. I hated the announcement, to be perfectly honest. Like I just think this was so cool, and it's such a cool event to announce that I wish they would have just said it and let the presidents of the company talk about, even just briefly talk about that this is a great relationship that we have and that we're building and that we want to do this big event to celebrate that. And instead you got Adam Cole, who is just constantly on my screen when I'm watching AEW, and which is fine. He's a valued member of their roster. But Adam Cole and Jay White don't really have anything to do with each other historically. Which that's just like a little point of contention and continuity for me, is that like we're trying to make this a thing, and I'm sure that they'll succeed in making it a thing, but I don't think it needed to be a thing during this announcement. That's kind of all that's my critique of the announcement. The fact that it exists and that it's happening, I couldn't be more excited, not only because it's in Chicago in the United Center, but because this will be the beginning, right? Like this will be the first co-branded show. I don't think it'll be the only, which is also exciting, but also something to remember as we go through some fantasy booking.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I wasn't the biggest fan of the way the announcement came out. I probably would have preferred if it was just kind of like New Japan style, where you come back from commercial and then they just kind of played the video package, like do a cool video package announcing the show. And then maybe you cut to Cole and Jay White after that.
Sure, right. Something eventually, like get your shit in, right? Like, like wrestlers and wrestling companies do. But, always cool to see Jay White getting out and doing something on AEW. So, and I'm curious where it all goes, of course. But I didn't need it. I didn't need it that way, to be perfectly honest. Like, why is Adam Cole telling me the date of the show?
Right, but I guess it also kind of plays to his character of kind of being this delusional deal with Kenny being gone. He thinks he's the leader of the elite, and he's claiming to be this big international New Japan star. And he did defend his Ring of Honor world title at the Tokyo Dome. Sure. He was a member of Bullet Club, so I think it's just kind of that that ego-driven, Adam Cole just kind of trying to make himself bigger than what he is, which works for his character. But I feel like that could have happened, like we said, like after the big announcement, like a promo video or something.
Yeah, that's I agree. But again, obviously, Adam Cole, Jay White, the Bullet Club, Elite, the whole thing is going to come to a head probably at that show. So that'll be that's a cool angle to start, and it started a long time ago even, but that'll be interesting to see who's all involved and how they get involved, and then all the stuff with Bullet Club that's already happening on the New Japan and Impact side of things. Like there's so much going on with Bullet Club, but it's also just all living in a little bit of a holding pattern sometimes until like a big thing happens, and then it's like this holding pattern again. So I really want to see that come to a climax, I guess, at this show, or at least like really set forth the kind of path forward for the Bullet Club stuff. Or maybe everyone's coming back and becoming Bullet Club, and it's Bullet Club the Elite again, and Bullet Club House of Torture, and Bullet Club OGs, right? Like that could absolutely be a thing where they all just decide to work together again, which could be cool. I don't know.
Right. I mean, that's what Jay White said his goal was a couple months ago in his first AEW appearance. He wants to create the best version of the Bullet Club. So it'll be interesting to see, kind of where the Bucks and Kenny lie, if Kenny is back in time. Like, are they going to kind of follow along Adam Cole and kind of join Bullet Club again, or at least for a little while? It'll be interesting to see, again, how that plays out, who they face on that show. And when the show was announced, I've seen a lot of chatter online, and a lot of people kind of worried about the card based off what we saw at night 3 of Wrestle Kingdom, the big New Japan and Noah Cross show. We got a ton of multi-man matches where people were for weeks kind of speculating and fantasy booking and making these big, huge one-on-one matches between Noah and New Japan guys. Now, with this Forbidden Door card, how are you feeling about that? Do you think we're going to get a bunch of multi-man matches, or you think we're going to get some more big-time singles matches?
I mean, we're doing a bunch of singles matches on the New Japan show in DC. So I think the willingness to do singles matches is there, and it's pretty clear to me. And I think I think both sides of the equation know that this show will set a tone for cross-promotional shows of the future. So, and that doesn't mean that every cross-promotional show is going to be champion versus champion, like super high stakes, everything. Like I don't think every title under both banners is going to be on the line at this show, but I do think you're going to get 3 to 4 big dream style singles matches. That's just speculation. I don't sit in the room, right? But I do think that they're showing a willingness to do singles matches. I think there will be at least 2 or 3 of those matches where the winner could go either direction. And I think that's what's going to make things so interesting. So, and I was talking to someone the other day, and it kind of came to me that like the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship after this show isn't really necessary for a couple of months, because you roll right into G1 season. So there's no like obvious defense of the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So could that live with an AEW guy for a little while during that time, and they come back and defend at King of Pro Wrestling, or whatever one of the fall shows is? Yeah, like that's a reasonable thing that could happen, and New Japan wouldn't necessarily be missing their major title. So, or any of their major titles on the heavyweight side, to be perfectly honest.
I think it'd be interesting to have a G1 without the world champion in it. Normally you have the world champion in there. He has to eat a couple falls to set up fall title offenses, and eventually his Wrestle Kingdom opponents with multiple night shows. So it'd be interesting. You have a G1 with no world champ, and then you kind of save some matches there, say some title defenses for the future, depending on who the champion's going to be going into G1, out of G1, and going into Wrestle Kingdom season. And I agree with you that both companies are going to be playing ball here, playing together, and making the best card possible. I don't think we're going to get, every single biggest dream match that we can imagine on this night, but I do think we're going to get some big cross-promotional matchups. like you mentioned, Capital Collision in DC, we're already seeing Ishii and Eddie Kingston. That was officially announced. They teased Suzuki and Brody King, teased Tanahashi and Moxley. So we're already getting some big matchups on a standalone New Japan of America show. So you got to think Forbidden Door, we are going to get some of that also. I mean, even on New Japan Strong, we've been seeing several AEW guys in singles matches against New Japan guys. This past week, we saw Buddy Murphy against Ren Narita. This week, Yumura. This week, Jay Lethal's facing Narita. So all throughout Strong, as AEW guys have been coming over, we've been seeing this AEW versus New Japan Jay White Open Challenge. So I think that we're going to see a lot of singles matches. I think there will be some title matches. And it can even end up being a Super Card of Honor-like situation where it's kind of a mix. So you get some interpromotional, and maybe you get some straight New Japan versus New Japan, AEW versus AEW matchups.
Yeah, and I think, I think you got to put CM Punk in something major, considering this is the first time back to United Center since CM Punk's big return, right? And like this is his building, right? Like this is the building CM Punk built when it comes to pro wrestling. So, you know, the obvious choice is Punk Okada, right? I mean, why not? But I also don't know. I don't know that you go that far, right? With an Okada match, but yeah, I mean, you're totally right. And there's so much crossover with New Japan of America and kind of, I guess you could say, mid-card AEW, right? Not necessarily the main eventers, but mid-card AEW, strong mid-carders. There's a lot of good wrestlers on the AEW side, and they pop up in New Japan for New Japan of America shows, and you know, that gives me such confidence that they're going to be able to figure out winners and losers for this whole thing. They're going to be able to sit at the table and say, okay, who can lose to freaking Okada, and who can lose to our champion on the AEW side. And that's a big deal, right? And like, then you've got young guys on the AEW side, younger or less established guys like Sammy Guevara or Darby Allin, that like there's plenty of dream matches for those guys that maybe you wouldn't even think of, right? Like, you know, if you have no regard for human life, you want to see Hiromu versus Darby Allin.
Yes, that's what I want.
I mean, like, if you want to see the world burn, you want to put those two dudes together, and for something from nothing. I don't know. I mean, probably not for nothing, but Junior Heavyweight Championship, TNT Championship, you know, those types of things. So many options. It's hard to even speculate without going way, way too far into it. Yeah. But, and then, right, we haven't talked about tag teams. So could the IWGP tag titles live on AEW for a little while? Yeah, absolutely. Right? Why not? Yeah. I mean, every other title lives on AEW. You may as well give them something IWGP for a little while.
Yeah, and FTR, they were on Renee Paquette's podcast this week and mentioned, you know, big goal of theirs is to become the IWGP Tag Team Champions at some point in their careers. So do you set up some kind of match? You know, if those guys are still Ring of Honor and AAA champions, do you do some kind of, you know, triple crown match where you throw up the IWGP titles as well? I think probably the biggest tag match for FTR would probably be Guerrillas of Destiny. And there is time to get the belts on GOD before that show, so I could see that being potentially a big crossover matchup there.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Or Cobb and Okan. I mean, Cobb's appeared on AEW as well, and Okan. Listen, I was in the building for Windy City Riot, man. The people of America love Great Okan.
Yeah, man.
Love Great Okan.
Even on the Broken Fight TV feed, that came through that Okan is getting over in the streets.
That dude is good. I mean, like he's almost better as a second. So when he came out with Ospreay, I mean, he is on every moment he's out at ringside. And then during the tag match too, even if he's not in the match, he's performing, right? So like that, he's a star. I to see it in person was so like eye-opening. Nothing, I'm not a Great Okan guy. I think I've even said that on this show. Like he's a guy that's going to be important long term. But oh man, he is over. And listen, coming back to Chicago, right? Like we know the crowd. Like it'll be 10 times the size, probably, the crowd, as it was at Windy City Riot. But he's a guy that can. I think he'll scale up just fine up to the big building. So him and Jeff Cobb, that's a great match too. I mean, I would love to see them versus FTR. So there's so many directions to go here.
Yeah, and then you mentioned about the world title being okay to be missing. I think the junior title is another one that would be okay to be missing from New Japan for a while, because I mean G1's gonna be right around the corner. Juniors are usually off that tour, maybe just being seconds for guys in undercard matchups in the opposite nights. So you could have, I don't know, Sammy Guevara or Darby, whoever, win the junior title at Forbidden Door, hold the title, maybe do some defenses in America, have some juniors come over and do AEW, do some strong stuff, and then once G1's over, you get the belt back on a New Japan guy and get him back over in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, to be honest, what's most interesting to me is not necessarily just the build up to this show, but what starts to happen in Japan, right? Because that's the product I watch the most, right? And that's the product I think that you and I both watch the most and pay attention to the most is New Japan in Japan, right? And we know as well as anyone that company, New Japan, like classic New Japan, thrives so much on bringing people in, being an international promotion, right? How is this then a conduit or a catalyst for that to happen, right? For more guys from the AEW side, from this partnership to then appear in Japan, do a tour, even just do what Moxley did, which was like a weekend here and then a big show, right? Like a weekend to build it and a big show. Like Moxley had such a cool kind of schedule when he was kind of going back and forth that it was so, I mean, barring the fact that he missed the one title defense, I forget what show that was, but yeah. So
like King of Pro Wrestling, I think.
Probably King of Pro Wrestling.
It was a fall defense.
2019?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the storm.
It was like a tsunami or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like who's the next person that's going to do that, right? Like who's the next person that isn't doing that or hasn't ever done that that's going to step out and start to do that? And how protected will they be? Because I mean, I'm sure you noticed, I'm sure everyone noticed that the AEW guys didn't lose on Windy City Riot. So that says to me that, there's some booking protection happening to get them onto the shows.
Definitely.
Right. And that's a little bit fair. It's also a little bit, I don't know, a little bit concerning, something to keep an eye out on. Right. Like,
yeah.
Especially as we come into this DC show, like, do we need Brody King to beat Suzuki? No. Right. Like, I don't know. Maybe Suzuki's not exactly a protected guy either, but yeah, like those are the things. Like AEW has the high ground, I think, right now on the business side of things, especially as we're operating in America, right?
Right.
Bring the AEW guys to Japan, it might be a little bit of a different look, right? But you hate to say like the home field's gonna win, but that those things are so interesting to me as to like how they end up leveling the playing field. How does everyone get what they need out of this partnership? And it's almost, I wouldn't say it's unprecedented, but it's been so long since we've seen anything like it. And the pro wrestling industry is so different now than than ever, that the door being open this way, if the whole point is for AEW to just like come out strong and squash everything, like that's some Vince McMahon level stuff, like nobody needs that. And I think they're smart enough to know that, but it's something to keep an eye out on, especially as we head towards this show.
Right. And I think the great thing is here, we all know that Tony Khan is a pro wrestling fan. He loves New Japan, and I don't think he's going to do anything to jeopardize that relationship. And I think both guys will come together, both sides will come together and work something out for the best for both sides. And obviously some guys are going to need to be protected, but I think they'll kind of figure out who can eat losses and, create some programs. Like, it doesn't have to be a one and done. You can set up things where it's, you end up doing a 3 series. You do rematches in New Japan, rematches in AEW. You have guys going for tournaments. So I think there's a lot of ways to kind of, help the New Japan side as well. Because I know, a lot of people have been concerned about that. Like, are the New Japan guys just going to go out here and get buried. But I mean, you look at guys like Kazuchika Okada, who's the world champ, especially if he's still a champ going into that show. I have a hard time seeing him eat a L. Ospreay's another guy. I mean, you have to do that controversial finish with Moxley. He's a guy I can see getting a win. I mean, there's guys that they're protecting in stars that they're building. I mean, Jay White, when's the last time he's eaten
it's been a very long time since Jay White lost.
Yeah, in a New Japan ring. He did lose to Saban during Mania weekend at the Impact Multiverse of Madness, but that was kind of like a roll-up, kind of off-guard pin. But in New Japan, he hasn't been pinned in who knows how long.
I mean, I could know pretty quick, but I'm not going to bore you with that. Yeah, and I think the other thing that excites me about this date that they picked is that this is exactly when you'll start to see guys declaring themselves for the G1, right? And so I would be shocked if we come out of Forbidden Door and nobody has grabbed a mic and asked, can they get into the G1, right? From the AEW side, someone surprising, right? Because the guys from New Japan that are going to be in. I think, like Moxley did at Dominion in 2019. It's like, I want in the G1, and everyone was like, oh, okay, you're really here, Yeah,
well, that show, we got like several, because Mox declared, and then Kenta also declared.
That's an all-timer, that show.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to like building up to, what ended up being a fantastic G1. But yeah. So like, I see this show being kind of that in a way, right? At least for the AEW side, where some of these guys that you don't expect that we, I literally anyone from AEW could show up in the G1, right? Like nothing would surprise me right now. Like Danielson, Moxley, the most surprising would be like Kenny or Ibushi. Kenny on the AEW side, but like someone that night is going to declare for the G1. I would be shocked if nobody on the AEW side like says like, I need to get into the G1 because I got to finish this and I need to, whatever it may be, however you get there. So that's what's so cool about the timing of this show, is that it is kind of officially, it seems like on the schedule, it's pretty much the last show before G1.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, it'll be great to get some guys over there. And I know some guys are kind of waiting for crowds to be able to cheer, to want to go back. And but the cool thing with AEW, I mean, their roster is so stacked right now that you pluck a couple guys, like, they're not going to be hurting. Like, you can elevate some guys. They have enough main eventers. Like, yeah, if you send, Brian over, you got Mox if he stays. You got Kenny. You got Punk. Like, you have so many guys on that roster that you can benefit sending a couple guys away and doing some stuff in Japan, being the G1 for a couple months, then coming back. So, yeah, hopefully we do get some kind of surprise people coming out and announcing that they want to be in G1.
I will be very disappointed if we don't. I'm like primed and ready for it. But it's not. That's also then not too late to then announce the whole field that night. I don't. They could do anything, right? Like, would love to see G1 announcements that night because I'll be there. That's neat. But I assume I'll be there. I don't know. Tickets are going to be tough to come by, but. I can pedal my bike down to the United Center and pedal my way in. But yeah, so there's so many ways to go about talking about this show, but I think that's those are all my major points. I think I'm excited. I'm excited that it's happening. I cannot wait for Wrestle Kingdom Night 3, AEW versus New Japan on January 8th or whatever random night in the Yokohama Arena. I feel like I do kind of feel like that's where we're headed. Where like they to match what they did last year with Noah, they're gonna need a Wrestle Kingdom Night 3. Always growing, always getting bigger, right, in Japan. So that wouldn't surprise me in the least if that's the Japanese side of the show.
Right, and as we've been talking about, also they're more open to doing singles matches. So I think doing an AEW versus New Japan Wrestle Kingdom show will definitely probably end up being more intriguing than Noah's show would be, because we know we'll probably get some big time singles matches and some more stakes involved. So that could be very interesting. I got some questions here from some of the listeners on Forbidden Door. So first from Reddit user Racing Falcons, he says, early predictions for how do you think the card for Forbidden Door will look like and if you will be assisting the show. So we kind of talked about kind of the structure of what we think we could expect, but any other thoughts on what you're expecting for that card?
No, just what I shared is I think that the top side of it's going to be great. And I think that you will see some tags, right? I mean, there's going to be some interactions that'll build towards, the next step, right? And I think what so many people are looking at with this show is that it's happening and that it's like a dream card. But I want to reel that in with the expectation that this is the beginning of something. It's not just the one-time thing. And I think people look at it like a one-time thing a little bit because the only big show that New Japan ever ran with Ring of Honor, really big, truly big show with Ring of Honor, was the Supercard of Honor. But this is such a higher level, right? New Japan is so established as like one of the industry leaders, right? They probably always will be from here on out, unless there's some sort of terrible catastrophic thing that happens. But and then AEW has proven itself an industry leader, right? So we're not looking at two like B-level pro wrestling companies that are one on the upswing, one kind of on the way down, which was ROH. We're looking at two super established, know their role in the kind of the lexicon of pro wrestling. So I think it's important to have confidence that this is just the first super show. And I think that both these companies like to do things annually and have tradition. And I think that this is the beginning of a tradition, not necessarily just a one-time deal.
Right, and it's going to be the beginning of several stories. Even after this show, I'm sure there's going to be more New Japan of America shows where we have AEW guys featured. I'm sure we're going to see some New Japan guys maybe travel over and be on Dynamite, Rampage, YouTube. I mean, we saw Suzuki on Dark Elevation this past week. We saw, Rocky with Best Friends kind of reuniting again with Funky Vice. So there's going to be several things that kind of come from this. And like you mentioned, we might not get every single big dream match. We might not get Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. on this show, but maybe you get an interaction that builds to the next show where we do get Bryan Sabre. I think there will be big matches, but I think a lot of the ones that people are throwing out there, we might not necessarily get to right away.
Yeah, there's going to be a segment of the audience that's disappointed once the card is complete. And that's fair, I suppose, until the next one, right? Which will have, it's assuming that this goes well at all. Right. And even if it's just a financial success, both companies will want to do more. So that's kind of that's the message I want out in the New Japan world and the AEW world, is that like, calm down. You can't, this is not a 2-night, 20 match, whatever thing. It's going to be one event. It's probably going to be awesome. It's going to be a hot crowd. If you're a fan of pro wrestling, you've got to be a fan that this is happening, as well as you have to have some confidence that we're going to do it again. and then you're going to get all those matches over the next couple of years, and it's not going to get colder, right? Like it's going to get hotter and hotter. And then there's going to be interpromotional stuff. It's going to be so cool. I love this. I would love for this to happen more frequently with different companies, because it's, if you can get to the table together, there's so much money to be made.
Right. I think the encouraging thing, if you look at the old New Japan Ring of Honor relationship, I mean, I know you mentioned G1 Supercard was the only big show, but I mean, all other Supercards had New Japan guys featured. They did the War of the Worlds and the Global Wars tour. So there were several co-branded tours throughout the year.
And I mean, Honor Rising in Japan, right? Like, yeah. But the only massive show was that MSG show. Yeah. And that's they're jumping right to that level here with the AEW relationship, which is kind of wild if you think about it.
Yeah, especially, a couple of years ago, they wanted nothing to do with AEW.
Well, yeah, there's so much there too, but yeah, and the people that wanted nothing to do with AEW seem to be out of the New Japan office, so that's maybe a little helpful. But I think New Japan's protective of their brand.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect them to jump into bed with a company that hadn't even run a show yet. So it's different. Things are different now. But the power structure in America has also changed, because at that point, New Japan would have had the high ground. They would have been the one in power, and I think that that's part of what they couldn't agree on. So, and now, AEW's probably got the high ground when it comes down to it. They're kind of in control. I'm sure they booked the United Center. I know it's their production. This particular event is an AEW production. So, so I think you're going to see more. It's going to present kind of that style.
Yeah. Let's Commission 7252 asks, with the announcement of AEW and NJPW joined together for the Forbidden Door in June, should it be AEW wrestlers against New Japan wrestlers, or will it be similar to the ROH and New Japan MSG show in 2019, where it was mostly the companies facing themselves?
Yeah, I think we've covered that. I think that most of this is going to be versus AEW versus New Japan. You may see they may throw a couple of kind of self-contained matches on each, especially if they want to do a women's match.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, at this point, we don't have no word if Stardom is going to be involved at all. So I'm sure they're going to want women representation on this show. So AEW's women title match, TBS title match, those would be self-contained AEW versus AEW matches.
Yeah. And then maybe you do something. I mean, AEW is never going to want to. My perception is that AEW is not going to want to define any of their wrestlers as a junior. So maybe
Right.
You get a junior match. That's just a New Japan match. I don't know. Or maybe they don't balance that out and they just let AEW have the women's match, which would be fine, right? So
right.
Yeah. So that would be my only holdup, is that I'm sure AEW or the pressure is on for women's representation in an American pro wrestling card. So I think you probably end up seeing that one way or another.
Right. I mean, Supercard of Honor, G1 Supercard, we did see Stardom girls come over for that, right, and work matches. So depending, I think Stardom has a show that weekend, so it might be hard to get some of the bigger stars over, but maybe some of the mid-card gals can come over. So we'll see what happens there. Wiz Factor asks, rather than fancy book the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, I want Jeremy and the Young Boy to fancy book the perfect Social Suplex Forbidden Door weekend schedule in Chicago. Well, I mean, we got a Chicago native.
It's almost
here.
it's not even fair.
So Chris, if people are coming to Chicago Forbidden Door weekend, what's the plan? What do they got to do? What are the spots they definitely have to hit up? Tourist spots, restaurants. What would you book for somebody?
Sure. Barbecue in my backyard, because it's legendary at this point. I'm not kidding. I probably will have a barbecue that day, so most are welcome. You got to pass a background check, but we'll get you there. But yeah, so Chicago in June is awesome. It's probably summer, right? But it's not like dog days of summer. So and Chicago, you're probably looking at like 80, 85. On the temperature, you're probably looking at pretty nice weather. The rain may have subsided for a little while. If I'm booking your time, you're probably coming in on the Friday beforehand, and you're gonna catch a White Sox game, because that's my spot. So you got the White Sox. They're home that weekend, so they're playing the Orioles. So I would catch a White Sox game. I would wake up the next morning. I would go do some generic tourism stuff. What's nice about this show is that it's actually, the United Center is actually in Chicago. It's the only like major pro wrestling place that does shows in quote unquote Chicago that's truly in Chicago. So you can actually stay in the city. You can enjoy like the city. You can get around really easily. Everyone's going to tell you to go get deep dish pizza. I'll tell you what, that's what you're supposed to do when you're in Chicago. But you won't find any Chicagoans actually eating deep dish pizza unless they're with someone from out of town, because we like our pizza flat and cut in squares, tavern style. That is actual Chicago pizza, but I'm not going to push you away. But if you're going to go get some deep dish pizza, find yourself a Lou Malnati's. You got to get yourself some Portillo's. So that's going to be your lunch and dinner at some point. And yeah, otherwise, see some of the sights, right? The lakefront's beautiful. You could honestly spend a day wandering Chicago and not spend a single dollar except on food. And you would enjoy plenty of beautiful sights, beautiful scenery. You got Buckingham Fountain, you've got the Bean, you've got Millennium Park, and that's all kind of right in the range, close enough to the United Center that you could get around pretty easily. It's all right downtown. But yeah, I would catch that Sox game. They've got post-game fireworks on Friday nights. It's good. It's good times. Plenty to do in June in Chicago. I mean, I could go on and on, but yeah, hot dog, pizza, baseball, sightsee, enjoy your Sunday, and catch a beautiful, wonderful pro wrestling show, and then get the hell out of my city.
Yeah, I was in Chicago all in weekend, and I can contest it's very easy to get around the city if you don't have a car, public transportation, and it's really easy getting around the city. A lot of cool sights to see, and who knows, there might even be some indie shows that pop up and try and piggyback on. AAW is
right.
kind of one of the promotions that runs a lot in Chicago. They could run Warrior Wrestling. Who knows, GCW might come in town. So if you want some more wrestling before Forbidden Door, there might be some shows that come in town too.
Yeah, I mean, considering that show is Sunday, it wouldn't surprise me to see something pop up that Saturday, right? Someone asked me if I thought they would do a Ring of Honor show.
That's an idea.
It's an idea. Yeah, I mean, no one really knows what the plans are for Ring of Honor, but yeah, it would be I just don't know where they would do it.
Right. You also could have some kind of fan fest meet and greet kind of thing before, like the Saturday before the show.
Yeah. AEW loves to do that, so that kind of wouldn't surprise me. Though they usually, I mean, they're so set up out in Hoffman Estates with the Now Arena, or the Sears Center, or whatever you want to call it. So it is, I don't want to say harder because the United Center is in the city, but it's a little less obvious what the plans would be.
Yeah. Next question here from Dark Soldier. Obligatory Forbidden Door question. People are clamoring for Okada versus Punk or Hangman versus Shingo. But in actuality, should we get the true face of AEW, Hook, versus the really real ace, Doki?
Yeah. That sounds fine. Why not, right? I mean, you probably got to put Hook on that show somehow, and he can bump.
He can, but I don't want to see my boy Doki get out here and get suplexed a bunch of times. I want to see Doki, showing what he does, jumping off the rope and doing all these crazy dives, proving he's not going back to Mexico. Like, come on.
Yeah. He doesn't want to get too close to Mexico. Might push him back. Yeah, that's a fine match. I don't know who else you put in the ring with Hook.
Master Wato.
I just knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Come on.
But what fun is that?
Very fun. Watch that blue-haired geek get thrown all over the ring.
The real play might be Hook versus Toriano. I know everyone wants to see Orange Cassidy versus Toriano. But I think Hook, that
could work. I mean, Hook is starting a feud with Danhausen, who's kind of chaos adjacent. So
Hook should be the man that just kills meme wrestling. As a meme. I mean, Hook's a meme, right? That's pretty much what Hook is, just on the whole other side of the spectrum. But maybe Hook's the hero that pro wrestling needed. Not that to be honest, I love the Danhausen lane that they've put him in on AEW. He just kind of appears and does something silly and then just disappears. No, not too much, just enough, just the right amount where you're like, that was funny, bye. And now the Hook thing is solid. So yeah, let's put Hook in there with the meme wrestlers. Doki is kind of that too, though. I mean, in our circle at least.
Yeah.
So and maybe you can get Gino involved, but yeah, I'm down with that. If they book that, I would be very pleased.
How about Hook versus Bushi?
That's boring. T-shirt Bushi, or
I mean, if he's getting squashed, it'll probably be T-shirt.
Wait, we're getting because I mean, like most of the LIJ guys, non-t-shirt, take your t-shirt off version, totally different than t-shirt version. So
Right.
Bushi especially though. So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say, but you got to figure you need that hook pop, maybe
Yeah.
even to open the show.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a show where you do Hook versus like Suzuki or something,
Oh man.
like something wild.
Yeah. And I'm sure too, we got to think that there'll probably be some kind of battle royal probably
Yeah,
on the pre-show to get a bunch of guys on there, get a bunch of paydays out there. And I really
some
like,
interactions.
yeah, I really like the casino battle royal style kind of thing. So you could do that, and then you're 21. Who knows? Maybe somebody like Kushida. You don't know whose side he's on. Kind of.
Yeah, who did he sign with?
Right, but then you could have Hook in there, kind of throwing some people around, get some interactions. Maybe you get your Hook Suzuki kind of face off there.
Yeah, it's some sort of battle royal just to build some interactions for nothing or for future. I think would actually be really cool, because if you split it 10-10 or 11-10 or whatever, if you wanted to do the 21 thing, that'd be awesome.
Right.
You could do a New Japan Rambo.
Right, yeah, you can do that, and also with the Factory and LA Dojo who's been feuding, you can play some of that out in that battle royal also. So lots of options. Dom Homie 101 says, with the news of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view event, how would it affect shows like Wrestling Dontaku and Dominion?
I mean, I personally don't think it's going to affect shows like that too terribly much, except maybe you're waiting on some of those G1 announcements. So
Right.
I think that's the thing that's a little unclear now, is when do we announce the full field for the G1? Because there's still a couple of weeks between Forbidden Door and the beginning of the G1. So I have to assume that it's not happening until at least Forbidden Door. And they seem to have strayed from, New Japan is strayed from announcing too early. I feel like every year it gets closer and closer to that first night, which is hell for me. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think that's so Dontaku is obviously already booked, so I don't think that changes anything for Dontaku. Dominion, yeah, maybe you see less of the build to G1 happening at Dominion.
Right, and I guess maybe depending on who you want to really build up going to Forbidden Door, maybe you do some singles matches where Ospreay or somebody gets a win so that they're looking super strong going into Forbidden Door. Or maybe there's a certain championship match you want to do. Obviously, we'll talk about the U.S. title picture in a second, but you got Ospreay and Tanahashi facing on Sunday, then a soon-to-be announced Tanahashi-Moxley match, and we know what happened in Windy City with Ospreay and Mox, so a lot of that, there could be some kind of U.S. situation there with all those guys involved, so depending on how you want the U.S. title match, maybe you do a U.S. title match at Forbidden Door, and depending who you want to do, because obviously Mox Tanahashi is a big deal. An Ospreay Mox match could be great. So depending on who you want going in as champ or how that match is going to look like, maybe Dominion, you can kind of set that up.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing to keep a lookout for specifically with Dominion is maybe somebody shows up.
Yeah.
To build to Forbidden Door, right?
Right, yeah.
You probably aren't just announcing matches, right? There's going to be people showing up on both sides of the ocean to build up these matches and make some things happen. So maybe specifically Dominion, maybe somebody on, from the US side of things shows up.
Right. We know Jericho loves randomly showing up and attacking people. So
he's got to do something on this show, right? I mean, I know he's a little downcycled on the AEW shows right now, but I mean, he's got a whole nother unit or whatever, but, given his history with New Japan, you got to figure he's got some guys on his list that he wants to wrestle. So,
right,
why not? Yeah,
I could totally see like a Jericho versus Ishii match where Jericho's like, I know I'm a sports entertainer, so I'm gonna use my sports entertainment to beat the most like strong style wrestler you guys got.
I think you just booked it.
That'd be fun.
But that's exactly that's the lane, right? That you got to figure that Jericho is going to take. He's going to try to find the most serious guy. Maybe it's Suzuki.
Right. He did mention he wants to face Suzuki. Yeah.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm here for that. That could be a good time.
Dom Homie also asks, what could be the more likely main event for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view? The team of the IWGP and AEW heavyweight champions versus Jay White and Adam Cole, or the Golden Lovers versus Jay White and Adam Cole?
I don't like either of those, honestly.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing either of those matchups happening, especially because we don't know the status of Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. Both of those guys are still healing from injuries, and it seems like those guys aren't scheduled to be back anytime soon. I mean, we could have a surprise appearance from one or both of those guys. I'd be surprised to see either of those guys actually wrestling. I could see them maybe doing some kind of angle, but to be in a match, especially in a big main event match where both of them have been off for so long, I don't know.
It would be cool if they showed up together.
Yeah.
Just for anything. As they've both been out for a while, right? Like that could be cool. That would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like you do an angle where, you have Bull Club and Undisputed Elite, and they're trying to give, Bull Club shirts to the Young Bucks, and then Kenny comes out, and then kind of a replay of the original Civil War, and Adam Cole and all those guys are beating down Kenny and the Bucks, and then Ibushi comes, makes a big save, and you have the reunion of the Golden Elite, and they're fighting off Bull Club.
Yeah, just run it back. That actually sounds fine. Yeah, I mean, Ibushi keeps talking about how he's still hurt, so, but I don't, worker's gonna work too, so who knows? Yeah. But yeah, I don't think the main event's gonna be a tag match. I think we're gonna see a singles match as the main event. So, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. Obviously, Punk is a likely candidate to be in a singles match in the main event. I know you threw out Okada earlier. There's also a potential Kenta match. If it's Kenta, I don't know if it'll be the main event, but I'll see the whole GTS versus GTS. Kenta has been clamoring online for years now to get him in there with Punk, and him stealing all of Punk stealing a lot of Kenta's moves, and so there's a ready-made feud and match right there between those two guys. So if you don't want to put Punk in the main event, if he's going to be semi or in that kind of closing stretch of big singles, Punk and Kenta makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, you got to figure there's at least one special singles match with nothing on the line except pride, and that would certainly qualify.
No, you put the GTS on the line. Loser can't do the GTS anymore.
Kind of like Tenzan and his chops, right?
Right, and then Kenta will just come up with a new way to do the GTS and just call it something different.
The Rockabye Baby.
Yeah. The sweet dreams. All right, so kind of transitioning from Forbidden Door, we had a little Forbidden Door action on this past Friday's Rampage, where we had Adam Cole defeating Tomohiro Ishii in a Owen Hart qualifier match. We had Rocky Romero and Orange Cassidy out there with Ishii representing Chaos, and that we had Jay White coming down towards the end of the match and helping Adam Cole defeat Ishii. Did you get a chance to see this matchup, Chris?
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
It was fine. I was very excited when Adam Cole showed up in Chicago. I had a great time. It was a big surprise, and now he's just always on my damn TV in a singles match. It's a lot, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot. I'm a little burnt out on Adam Cole. He didn't give an NXT face during this match, which is a plus. He didn't react, dramatically, but I think Ishii kept the pace up. But yeah, it's fine. I hate to, I'm a homer, so I hate to see my guys lose on AEW TV, but you kind of knew what direction it was headed.
Yeah, I mean, I like Adam Cole, a big fan of his work, always been kind of one of my favorite guys. But I don't know, for this match, I thought it was a very good match, but for whatever, I mean, when you see Ishii wrestle, you kind of want to see the Ishii, epic strong style matchup. And also this was a TV match. It was a match where Cole needed to go over, so you didn't quite get the full Ishii experience here, in which also we've been kind of seeing that in some of his American matches, especially when it is a TV match or a match against a lesser known opponent. He's not given the full, 4.5 star Ishii, matchup that we normally get. So when you hear Ishii, you get excited and you kind of expect that, and so we didn't quite get that here. Again, very good matchup for Rampage, for TV match, for this Owen Hart qualifier. Made sense with the whole, the Jay White connection that they're trying to make, and the whole, peace treaty thing that's happening here between the Undisputed Elite and Bullet Club and advances that story, but I would have loved a more straight up match, and these guys just kind of killing it, but it was good for what it was.
Yeah, it was fine. It's worth watching, and just you kind of knew where it was headed, and that's always a shame to me with a guy like Ishii.
Yeah. Dark Soldier asks, he said, Orange Cassidy was Ishii's first partner in AEW, and now he has has her back for this match with Adam Cole. Bebe, are Orange and Ishii friendship goals?
Yeah, must be. I mean, like it's an interesting relationship. Orange, I guess that truly establishes Orange in chaos, and Ishii, tough dude, and Orange tough guy too. So they both kind of put on a facade until they break. So they actually have a lot more in common than you would think on the surface.
Yeah, and I think Ishii deep down, he's a kind of a goofy guy sometimes, and we've seen pictures of him like in the Hello Kitty kind of stuff and goofing around with Goto and Yoshihashi sometimes off camera. So I feel like those guys, like you mentioned, probably get along better than people would think they do.
Yeah, I bet they're the real best friends.
Well, there's a lot going on right now with best friends and chaos and Wheeler Utah, leaving best friends, but still being a part of chaos on Strong and New Japan America.
Yeah, and I was in the building for that dark match, and nothing happened. They just had a match. There was no hostility. So, good on him. I guess he's Wheeler Utah's getting paid twice.
Hey, yeah, get those checks. All right, we're going to transfer over to Japan now, talk about the Golden Fight series that's been going on, essentially the Road to Wrestling Dontaku, just with a fancy name. We're going to go over the results of some of these shows and then focusing on the bigger matches that happened on the tour. So on April 19th, we had Master Wato defeating Vegeta, 5 minutes 51 seconds. Ryusuke Taguchi defeating Ryohei Oiwa, 7 minutes 42 seconds. We had the Chaos team of Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, and Yoshihashi defeating the Great Bash Heel team of Makabe and Hanma, teaming up with Tiger Mask, 8 minutes 35 seconds. The Suzuki-gun team of Doki, El Desperado, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Zack Sabre Jr. defeating the Bullet Club team of Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, Gato, and Taiji Ishimori at 10 minutes and 33 seconds. Had the House of Torture, Dick Togo, Evil, Sho, and Yujiro defeating G.O.D., Tanahashi, and Jado, 12 minutes and 1 second. Semi-main event, we had the LIJ team of Hiromu Takahashi and Shingo Takagi defeating the Suzuki-gun team of Taichi and Takamichi Noku. And then we had the Chaos team of Kazuchika Okada and Yo defeating the LIJ team of Bushi and Naito. And we do have some kind of story development here with Yo and Hiromu. After the 18th Fight Series show, Hiromu was kind of cutting a promo saying that Yo's motivation seemed to be in question in recent weeks. And after the loss during the Golden Fight Series, he found himself aggressively called out by Hiromu. And the Time Bomb say that Yo was a completely different person to the one who he fought so valiantly in the Best of Super Junior 28 final this past December. And that was something that Yo took to heart, which brought the fire to Yo. And Yo eventually ended up laying out Hiromu and challenging him for a match at Wrestling Dontaku. So that match ended up getting added to the Dontaku card, and we've been seeing these guys kind of face off more in tag matches on this Golden Fight Series show. We had a question from Les Commission 7252. He says, is this a resurgence of Yo going to the finals in the Best of Super Juniors this year against Hiromu to avenge his loss in the finals late last year, and a farewell to Hiromu when he leaves the junior division?
Everyone wants Hiromu to leave the junior division like now. He's still very short.
I mean, is he that short though?
I don't know. It's just a running bit that I have in multiple places, so I had to say it. I think usually you see it's really kind of a classic build to kind of quote unquote graduate from the junior division, right? Mm-hmm. You start to challenge some heavyweights, so that's the stage we're at. But eventually you win the never open weight championship. Like that's how you get out of the junior division. you win the never openweight championship. We saw it with Ibushi. We saw it with Ospreay, right? Like that's the path that we see most frequently. I think that it's a long play with Hiromu. So no, I don't think this is a farewell to Hiromu as he leaves the junior division. I would love to be wrong because I think it's really interesting to try to put him into the heavyweight division, but you usually see some physical changes too.
Right.
And Hiromu, if nothing else, he's ripped. Like that dude's in really good shape. And sometimes you see that on social media and all that, but he's not like showing that. And they're not making that into a big deal that he has more strength or that he's bulked up, the way that we saw with Ospreay specifically most recently. Like they started, not just the English commentators, but like everyone started talking about how he was getting bigger, right? And stronger and could hang longer with the heavyweights, right? And even no matter what the situation, a tag or a tournament match or whatever. So I don't think we're quite there with Hiromu. I think we'll know more after Best of the Super Juniors, because if he's booked, I can't imagine him winning it again, but maybe.
Right. I mean,
but
the only reason to really have him winning is you want him to break the record, because I think he's tied right now with 3 wins with Koji Kanemoto. So if you want him to kind of break that record, so to stamp him as the greatest junior, he's won it 4 times. I can see that, but again, like we've been saying on the show, I don't think he should win either. But the issue is when it comes to business, Hiromu is still the biggest draw in the junior division. So it's kind of hard to just kind of pluck him out and leave the division as is. I mean, Desperado, they've been pushing him. He's a very good wrestler, but he hasn't been proven yet to draw on the level that Hiromu has drawn. And right now, the division, besides Despy, like there's not a ton of really big names or guys who can draw. I mean, you got ELP, you got Taiji, Bushi, Master Wato. I mean, it's
show.
Yeah, it's not your 2017 junior division. You don't have your Ospreay, you don't have your Ricochet, you don't have Dragon Lee, you don't have all these guys. Kushida, you don't have these guys that are all big stars where you pluck one out, you have other guys that kind of hold that division up. So I think until we get some more guys in to mix it up, which it does seem like with Super Juniors, we already got Francisco Akira coming in, and it seems like we're going to get potentially maybe some strong guys or some other foreigners coming in for the tournament. I think once you get some more foreigners in and mixed up with some other guys kind of getting pushed and getting over, I think that will open up the spot for Hiromu to potentially leave the division.
Yeah, and kind of as I referenced earlier, New Japan being an international company, like Best of the Super Juniors is exactly the right place to demonstrate that. Right. And it always has been, right? You bring in guys from Mexico and Europe and the US, Canada, right? Like that's such an international, always has been since the beginning. It's been an international tournament. And I think that's why it felt so stale the past couple of years, is because like none of those guys could be there. Nobody from any other country was in Best of Super Juniors except I guess ELP, but he's around so frequently. So yeah, I mean, I just don't know who takes that kind of ace level, right? Because these guys haven't been here in so long, you almost have to reintroduce them. And Best of the Super Juniors this year is probably the right chance to do that. But how better to reintroduce people to the junior division than to have them win against Hiromu, right? Like to really establish them. Or I mean, someone like Dragon Lee, right? Like those guys have had dozens of incredible matches, right? So if he's coming back, he probably just takes the reins and runs with it. But I think he's really the guy. Like if Dragon Lee comes back and you've got him kind of locked in as a, New Japan's his priority, that gives you space to move Hiromu around, because I think he's an established guy. Him and El Desperado is a really interesting feud, right? And maybe you can get a guy like Bandito, right? Like there's a lot of guys out there that you could get back into the mix, and that creates space for Hiromu. But I think you need Hiromu there to build those guys up and then move on.
Right.
Via probably a never open weight championship match.
Yeah, and there's also probably going to be some strong guys that come over. Clark Connors has mentioned wanting to be in Best of the Super Juniors and really, make a name for himself in that junior division. Ren Narita, when he was a young lion, he was in the 2019 tournament. So now that he's more experienced, been training with Shibata, maybe, he had a Wrestle Kingdom match. Maybe you bring him back and he gets more wins and you kind of push him as somebody in the junior division.
Yeah, he can come back and get some W's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Soldier wrote us a poem. He says, roses are red, violets are blue. Karen won't like it, but this is something I must do. His wrestling is good, but he definitely does not glow. Given his win-loss record, is Yo still a hoe?
I'm pretty sure that's a poem for Josh. Karen and I had a wonderful hot dog lunch with Kevin Kelly while we were all in Chicago, and other Karen. I hate to call her other Karen Murray. I think that's her last name. But yeah, Karen would not like that poem. You're right, Dark Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not feeling Yo. To me, I don't know, his presentation and just they're trying to heat him up with this whole Hiromu thing, but I don't know. I'm just, after the whole show feud, I'm kind of done with Yo.
Well, I almost feel like this Hiromu Yo match is a make good for how much they ruined that Best of Super Juniors final with Sho's weird faces and strange yelling. So I hope that's the case, because that could be a really fun match. I think Yo is fine, but I need some life out of him. You know?
Yeah, he comes out there, just kind of blank look on his face. There's no energy. There's no fire. Like, where's the fighting spirit? Where's the, charisma? Like, I don't know. Like, this guy just got done with a blood feud where his best friend and training partner stabbed him in the back. And it's just like, he's just kind of like, okay, he's fine.
Like, I'll wear different pants and a hoodie. Like, he's got a good look. He's got a really good look. It's just like, what defines him in the ring once he's wrestling? Like, that's, I guess, as a singles guy, that's what I haven't figured out with Yo yet, is what is his, like, signature style in the ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the middle of a match, like, what are you looking forward to? What, not even just, like, what spots, but, like, what's his style? I don't have, like, a good feel for that yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's wacky roll-up guy. I mean, that's the style. I mean, he's going to try and do the 5-star clutch or one of his other, Lucha Rezu, wacky roll-up that he knows. And it's like,
That's not all that exciting.
Right.
I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I need some impact moves.
Yeah.
Some big stuff. Give me some risk. It's the junior division, damn it.
Exactly. Give some energy. Like, you watch some junior matches of the old and you see these guys with, they're flying, they're high speed, they're intense. Like, there's so much energy in life. And then you look at a guy like Yo, he just walks down. He looks like he's bored half the time. Like, there's just no motivation.
He's cool. He's too cool.
Yeah.
Don't be cool. be less cool.
Yeah. I'd like to see some more fire out of Yo.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll get that in this Hiromu match.
I am looking forward to it. I think this is kind of a pivotal match for Yo's path forward. So, one to keep an eye on, without a doubt.
Yeah. And then on the April 20th show, we had Fujita defeating Nakashima, Doki, Taka, Kanemaru, and Zack.
Wait. We have to talk. We're getting wins from this young lion class now.
Yeah. Fujita.
We're getting wins and losses, which is... this is where we separate the men from the boys. Now we're getting wins and losses. We're not getting a bunch of time limit draws. So I'm even more excited for the first match on most of these shows now.
Yeah, so we've had Oiwa getting his first win over Fujita. Fujita here, he's beating Yuto Nakashima, getting his was this his first win on this one? First singles win? Or I
think so.
Or did he win? Who wrestled on the Wrestle Kingdom show? Because one of them beat one of the Noah Young Lions.
Yeah, but that And then one of these guys got a win on the Korakuen 60th anniversary too.
Yeah.
But New Japan proper, this would have been his first win.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oiwa beat Fujita the night before. Yeah. Right, but Fujita beat Ryo Inoue on the Korakuen Hall 60th anniversary. The show that I don't know that it's popped up anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't found it yet.
But yeah. So, but then he finally got his first New Japan win here. So
yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, we're seeing some advancement here. No more 10-minute draws. We're getting some wins here, and Yuto Nakashima, he's still struggling and fighting for his first singles win.
And he was the first one to appear technically for what 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, and then having the shoulder or arm injury. So he's he's fallen behind. The injury has set him back behind Oiwa and Fujita, and so now he's trying to catch up in this class and get his first win and get on their level.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, we had Doki, Taka, Kanemaru, Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Wato, Taguchi, Tiger Mask, and Hanma. We had Sho and Yujiro defeating Jado and Tangaloa. Goto, Toriano, Yoshihashi, and Togi Makabe defeating Balak Fale, Chase, Gato, and Taiji Ishimori. Then we had Suzuki-gun's Desperado and Taichi defeating Bushi and Shingo. Semi-main event of Hiroshi, Tanahashi, and Tama Tonga defeating Dick Togo and Evil. And then a main event of Hiromu Takahashi and Naito defeating Kazuchika Okada and Yo, 18 minutes and 13 seconds. Which brings us to the last show on the Golden Fight series, which happened yesterday, April 25th. Essentially kind of a go-home show here for Wrestling Dontaku. So in the opener, we had Great Bash heel of Togi Makabe and Tomioka Hanma defeating Tiger Mask and Yuto Nakashima. Then we had Doki, Kanemaru, Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Wato, Taguchi, and Oiwa. Then the Bullet Club team of Gato and Taiji Ishimori defeated the Suzuki team of El Desperado and Taka Michinoku. The Bullet Club team of Balak Fale and Chase Owens defeating Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi. And both these teams are going to be in the Triple Threat Tag Title matchup here. So a little bit of a preview of that matchup here in Bullet Club getting the win here over the former champions.
Yeah, I mean, they had Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens had to prove their path here, and they took the opportunity to do so. So, curious to see where that goes. I mean, those guys have teamed together forever for a really long time, and Goto and Yoshihashi just had a good reign, and they had the good trios reign over the last summer, really.
Yeah.
Last year. So yeah, I was kind of glad to see the Bullet Club side of this get the win, because otherwise they kind of don't have a place in that triple threat match. So it did establish them as a threat.
Yeah, that was the most logical booking decision. But on another end, though, it's like, all right, why is Goto and Yoshihashi even in the triple threat now? Like, they lost the titles to Cobb and Okan. And now they've lost clean to, well, I guess they did cheat, but I mean, they lost officially to Balak Fale and Chase Owens here. So why isn't, Balak Fale and Chase just getting a straight up tag title match? So
because it's already booked.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why that ended up a triple threat, and they couldn't have just, I mean, Chase and Fale just did the, backstage ask for a match thing, and it happened. So I don't really know why Goto and Yoshihashi are involved, but it'll make for a more interesting match probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is good, and maybe it'll really put over the United Empire side of things, because if they win, they're going to come out looking strong, because that's kind of how they are.
Yeah. Then after that, we had the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, and Naito defeating the Chaos team of Okada, Yano, and Yo. And after this match, we had a little angle here. So Naito got the win for the team on Yano. And then Naito and Okada have a little face-off. Naito offers the LIJ fist bump to Okada. Okada does it, but then tries to sucker Naito in for a Rainmaker. Naito does one of my favorite new Naito spots where he has a pop-up into the kick to the balls. And then he hits a Destino on Okada, has the champ laid out. So we've seen Okada laid out with the Destino before the big title match. Momentum seems to be on Naito's side here.
Yeah, well, Naito's got the most recent win, so don't mind that they just trade wins most of their path forward. So, but it's fun. Always Naito and Okada is classic, and it is a little down cycled, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the Dontaku card, but it's still, they're still generational rivals, right? So it's still always going to be exciting when those guys mix it up. And then, I love a classic New Japan, go home angle.
Yeah, this is nice. So then we had a semi-main event. We had the never openweight 6-man tag team titles on the line. The champions, House of Torture, Evil, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi, they defeated the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa, and Hiroshi Tanahashi, who were accompanied by Jado, 17 minutes and 6 seconds. We got Tanahashi coming out to God music for this match. It was just kind of a weird visual. But Chris, what did you think about this never openweight 6-man tag team title match?
I think this was the first time I was rooting for House of Torture to win. Like I don't need Girls of Destiny and Tanahashi to be the 6-man champs, to be like established that Girls of Destiny are on that side of the equation now. So, and I kind of like House of Torture in the 6-man space because there's so much they can do, and it's less annoying. I think there's more to do with them holding the belts than Tama Tonga, Tanga Loa, and Tanahashi. So the match was good. It was fine. This is good workers. This is good stuff. You got Tanahashi in there. Like, what's not to like? But I don't think I've ever rooted for House of Torture to win anything. But I wanted them to win this match, and they did, which pleased me.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed this match more than I thought I was going to. And I think it's just something about House of Torture when they're in 6-man or 8-man matches, when more of them are involved, it's kind of, there's less screwiness. Also, they're still going to cheat. There's still going to be distractions and bumps, but I think it's less egregious when all of them are already involved in the match. So you don't have as many people running out, like in an Evil match when you have 3 guys running out. It's like, come on, but the guys are all already out there. They're already involved in the match. There's not quite as much egregious interference once all of them are kind of involved. So I thought it was good back and forth. I thought they told a good story in the matchup. They ended up cheating with Yujiro, hitting a low blow on Tanga Loa, hitting him with the big juice. And that also sets up Dontaku because Tanga Loa and Yujiro are having a singles match, and then Evil and Tama Tonga are having a singles match. So right now you have everything kind of leaning once again in the favor of House of Torture. They're running with the momentum going into Sunday, which maybe there's some hope that the Hantai crew here, God and Tanahashi, they're going to get some comeuppance come Wrestling Dontaku.
Yeah, and I think I like them better in this 6-man space because all these guys are gonna be involved in all these matches anyway, if it's a singles match or whatever. So you may as well put them all actually in the match, or 3 of the 4 of them actually in the match, and that's, you're right, less egregious, less annoying, and they can still do all the stuff that they do. It's just, we know as well as anyone that New Japan tag team matches aren't exactly like clean tags and only 2 people legal at a time. So this demonstrates why that's a fine strategy. So and they're built for it. They obviously have been working towards this exact championship, the never 6-man trio championship, because they are very good at using all of their resources to win. So
right, and then as never 6-man champs, you kind of keep them in their own little world. They don't have to be in the world title picture. They don't have to be in the U.S. title picture, like any kind of big, serious matchups. They're just kind of living in their own little world, doing their never 6-man thing.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a fun match. Worth watching.
Yeah. And we had a question here from Reddit user Typhoon. Why does NJPW still have trios titles? They may be the most worthless belts in all of wrestling.
Well, Typhoon, you are outing yourself as someone who didn't watch New Japan during most of the actual heart of the pandemic, when this trios title carried so many shows when it was on the Chaos group. So not the most worthless belts in all of wrestling. I could list some pretty worthless belts. You can see them on Fox and USA Network in the United States. But no, I disagree. It ebbs and flows, right? The Never Six Man titles ebb and flow with their importance and with who they're on and what story they're telling. And for whatever, a whole year they kind of just disappeared in what was that, 2019, I think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
they pretty much just the guys, I can't even remember, I think it was a Chaos group, just didn't even bring them out to the ring anymore for a little while, or they would just forget them. So I get it, I hear you, but they're not the most worthless belts in all of wrestling. Also, it's 3 belts, so not a singular belt. Yeah, there's some good stuff to be had with Never Six. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And like you mentioned, it's had its highs, it's had its lows, but also in the last year they did a really great job building it up with that team of Yoshihashi, Goto, and Tomohiro Ishii. Just the run that they had, those titles, and the great matches they were having, and main eventing Cork and Halls, and really having some high stakes matches. And now for a team like House of Torture, I know we all are not the huge, big fans of House of Torture and the interference and all that stuff, but it's still a very pushed group, guys who get a lot of TV time, a focal point of storytelling in New Japan. They're a big part of this whole Bullet Club, Civil War stuff that's happening. So the belts are on a popular pushed act right now, and they're serving a purpose for those guys right now. So I think, even though it's not, Yoshihashi, Goto, and Ishii having killer matches, it's still on a important unit for New Japan, and it's getting screen time. They're doing, semi-main event on this show right here. And so I think going forward, we're going to continue to see, especially, with less titles, we have the IC title out of the picture that opens up slots for more title matches in other divisions. So I think we'll continue to see the Never Six Man continue to be visible and get somewhat of a push.
You know who doesn't have enough titles? What company just needs a 6-man title to just add to the mix?
AEW needs a 6-man.
All Elite Wrestling. I don't think they have enough titles on their TV shows. So, and everyone wants them to have a trios title. Maybe they can just borrow the Never titles. That would actually be kind of cool, but they are bogged down a little bit with titles from a bunch of other companies already. So, yeah. But yeah, that would be a cool way to introduce kind of cross-company trios titles. Though I think Tony Khan threw away the Ring of Honor trios championships. They just disappeared and aren't going to come back. So
yeah,
it's probably not actually the strategy. But yeah, I always say AEW needs more championships.
Hey man, I want the AEW trios title so bad. There's so many trios that.
Well, there's a real need or desire for those. There's no reason not to have those, but you got to figure out what to do with all these Ring of Honor belts before you do that. Probably.
I think you just got to figure out what to do with Ring of Honor in general.
It's a good problem to have, but it's also from the outside looking in, it's kind of well, why? What's happening here?
Yeah,
so.
I'm just really curious kind of what the whole end game is. I totally understand wanting the library, wanting the rights to All In to help, booster up a potential streaming deal to have more content under your belt. That's great, but I just don't get what the plan is for AEW or for ROH. I'm all down for more great wrestling, especially in North America. We need more great wrestling promotions here, but I just don't know exactly what TK's big plan is here.
Someone asked me the other day if this New Japan AEW relationship existed because AEW inherited a relationship from Ring of Honor. And it was a smart person and a person that I have a lot of respect for. But I was so surprised by the question because it just seems so. It seems so out there that would be the case. That like AEW is like, oh, now we got to work with New Japan because now we're Ring of Honor. Like that's a stretch. But with that said, it did clean things up for New Japan's American partnership a little bit. So maybe in some way or another, that is how they ended up going all in, no pun intended, with the relationship.
Yeah.
I love the question though. I it's a reasonable ask.
Yeah. I mean, it's a stretch, but it's also kind of funny. It's like, at first, like, ROH is our partner. Well, guess what? We now own ROH. Oh, okay.
Well, all right. Let's run a show. I mean, it is. I can't discount it completely.
Yeah.
As being like something that at least contributed to it.
Yeah. All right. So, big main event here on this final Golden Fight Series show. We had the 2022 Provisional KOPW Trophy title match on the line here, the 30 count match. And last week the stipulations came out after we recorded. We had a vote between the Takagi 3 falls match and then Tai Chi's 30 count match, which ended up winning here. So the whole stipulation of this match was a kind of running fall count total. So each guy, in order to win, you had to get a total of 30 count. So every pinfall count you got added up. So if you got a 2 count, you got 2 points. You got a 3 count, you got 3 points. You can get a 5, 6 count. You would get, continue to add up the score here. And we had a scoreboard on the screen here for both guys as they were getting falls. Their points would go up, and kind of an upset, but not an upset at the same time. We had the Dragon, Shingo Takagi, defeating Tai Chi, who just recently won the KOPW trophy. And so we have a new provisional 2022 KOPW trophy holder in Shingo Takagi. Chris, what did you think about this first ever 30 count fall match?
I really enjoyed this. This is kind of what I wanted KOPW to be, and I know I've said it on this show a couple times of like what it could be, or like I guess my personal vision for what this thing could be. So that this when they announced the 2 stipulations, I was so excited. I thought they were very cool, and I voted for the 30 count match. So I was excited for that. I was very concerned that they like wouldn't have a scoreboard.
Yeah,
we'd kind of like be on our own, and like I'm obviously watching close to live, so we're talking Japanese commentary, and I'm like, I don't know how to count that high. I can get to like 4, but yeah, the scoreboard was helpful, but it was cool, and it was also like alarming any of the counts that went over 3, because it was like I intellectually understood that was probably going to happen, but like it's so weird when you're watching pro wrestling for the count to go past 3, because 3 is the end of a match, right?
Right,
like
yeah.
That's like I'm internalized that count, that third, hand slapping the mat as like, oh, that's the end of the match. Like that's the exciting moment. And it's just like, it was so like anticlimactic that like, I mean, there was like a 6 count at some point and like a 4 count. And like, it just like really kind of threw me off, but in a way that was like engaging and fun. They told a good story. They did like the comeback situation. Shingo was pretty far down and really had to like wiggle out of a lot of even 1 counts or 2 counts. Like that you saw a lot more of that, like, 1 count, 0 count where like Red Shoes is trying to catch up and hit the mat. So this was a really cool, fun stipulation. And like, I hope, for more stuff like this in the KOPW space, no more dog cage, lights out, whatever, blindfold, evil matches, like more stuff like this, just like kind of off kilter, wacky, but like still a pro wrestling match. This was still just a pro wrestling match with cumulative fall counts, which like gave me so many ideas of like what I could like track as the stat guy, right? Like, so now I'm sitting here thinking like, should I track this for like the G1? Like that would be fun, right?
Yeah.
Who had the most counts, right? Like who had the least in the count to win ratio, right? There's so many, I have so many ideas. Whether I have time to like truly sit down and log all that, I don't know. I like to spend my time on World Tag League counting tags, so I may as well go further in. But yeah, this was right up my alley. Loved it. I think these guys did it. It was a cool matchup too. I was surprised to see Shingo win, but Shingo's had his time doing wacky stuff in Dragon Gate and different stipulation matches and things like that. So we should be prepared for more of that for a little while. It's a little bit of an elevation for this title to put it on someone who used to be a world champion, right? Or was very recently a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see this becoming a main event thing, but fun matches like this on, the go home show for the really big show instead of on the undercard of the really big show. I think that's a great slot for this particular provisional championship. It was cool. It was absolutely worth seeking out. A little bit different in a good way.
Yeah, I said kind of surprised with the result because it's like, all right, Tai Chi just won it, had all this kind of big promos and plans for KOPW, but loses it on the first defense. But at the same time, like you mentioned, it's Shingo, just recently was the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, was in one of the main events at the Tokyo Dome. And I get Tai Chi's a guy that's an upper mid-carder and gets upsets and is kind of pushed close to that potential, world title challenger level. But with Shingo just coming off that, great world title run in a Tokyo Dome main event, I mean, I think it made a lot of sense for Shingo to beat Tai Chi right now in a singles match. But overall, I really enjoy this matchup also. And like you mentioned, great point that at the heart of this, it was a straight up professional wrestling match. Yes, they had the whole cumulative 30 count, but like if you stripped away like them getting multiple counts, like if this was just a regular match, like this match was put together almost like a regular match, just with the extra counts. Like it was these guys throwing lariats, Tai Chi throwing axe bombers, dangerous suplex, Shingo doing pumping bomber. Like you're getting the same kind of thing you would get in a normal Tai Chi and Shingo match. Just as you had these added elements and added story devices of this cumulative count. And what I really liked about the matchup, it kind of combined elements of some other matchups. So in one way, it was almost like a Stardom high-speed match, especially at the beginning, because you have these guys that are like they're going for these kind of quick pinfalls and cradles, and every count really matters here. So they're going for these quick pins, and so you're kind of getting that Stardom high-speed element with the kind of quick pinfalls and guys trying to kind of get the quick one up on each other. And then you also have the elements of a Iron Man match where, an Iron Man match, you're getting multiple 3 counts. You have a scoreboard. You have that story where somebody is usually behind and has to come back and try and catch up or tie or go to overtime. And so we got here, like you mentioned, with Shingo eventually getting really behind, Tai Chi hitting the Black Mephisto, getting a 6 count off of that. And Tai Chi was just really hitting some really big moves and got up to, I think he was up to 28 or 29 towards the end of the matchup. And Shingo really had to rally behind, like you mentioned, kick out at 0 and really fight to get off his back to catch up and then eventually win the matchup. So there's a lot of really cool elements and just really made every near fall, just every pinfall really count. A lot of times we watch matches, a guy hits a clothesline, goes for a pin. Like we know that that's not going to be the closing, sequence or the pin to win off of that, especially in the beginning of the match. Like that's all, like I say, to wear down your opponent, make them exert energy to kick out. But in reality, we know it's not coming until a big finisher is coming, or if it's going to be towards the end of the match, kind of thing. And so here, literally every pinfall counted because you're getting a point off of each count. So in a way, it made every big move and every near fall count even more because it was adding up to the cumulative score. So that was a cool storytelling element here. But I really enjoyed the match. I went 4 stars on it, and is a thing where I thought it was really cool, but I don't know like how many more of these I want to see. Like I don't know if I want every show to have a 30 count match. I think it's a cool stipulation for KLPW and something that can maybe happen every once in a while. But I'm not sure how often I want 30 count matches all the time.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't catch. Maybe it's more obvious to someone else but like, where are we going here? What did Shingo have to say after the match? I didn't see any subtitled post match stuff. So, who's next? Right? Like that's an interesting wrinkle here too, especially as you involve a guy like Shingo.
Right. I know what he did mention. The only thing I did see was him saying that as a former IWGP champion, he raised that title up to a high level. He wants to do the same thing for KLPW. And that was kind of Tai Chi's kind of plan too, and wanting this to be in more main events and a higher level. And obviously, the trophy has been elevating. We went from Yano to Tai Chi to now Shingo, former world champion, former never open weight champion, somebody who was cleaning up in the junior division, top star in the promotion right now. So yeah, this is on a guy who's usually in big matches, big feuds, has great matchups. So it's definitely elevates the trophy. I guess the question is, all right, like you mentioned, who's next? Are we going to go back to a Yano route where it's going to be Shingo and Yano, which leads to a Yano wacky stipulation? Or do we go like Shingo and Suzuki, Shingo Ishii, Shingo Nagata, and do we get more pro wrestling based stipulations where at the heart of the match it's still a straight up pro wrestling match, but maybe you're just kind of getting some little alterations?
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Dontaku card, and you've got Shingo in the opener against Suzuki-gun, right? Taichi, Takamichinoku, and Zack Sabre Jr. Maybe it's Taka, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's Zack, and they do some. I mean, Zack's kind of gotten in the mix with Yano, but maybe he needs something to do. So maybe that continues kind of down the line of Suzuki-gun. But I'm more curious about this. This trophy or provisional championship than I have ever been now that Shingo has it. And honestly, when Taichi had it too, I was interested to see where that was going to go. So I like stipulation matches. I think people see me as kind of a purist when it comes to pro wrestling, and because I love the G1 and I love Best of Super Juniors. I love singles matches that mean something, but this space could be really a fun and different thing in New Japan, and I would like to see that.
Yeah, and if you guys have not seen this matchup yet, I know it was yesterday and it wasn't really that heavily promoted. I think people have kind of glossed over this tour, but definitely go out and check this matchup out. It's still Shingo and Taichi having a singles match, and like I mentioned, it's a really fun, interesting style matchup here, and it was hard hitting. You had a lot of big spots. I thought the ways that they were getting their points were very interesting and creative, and it does leave the door open for Taichi to get a claim for a rematch. I mean, he got 2 6 counts in this match over Shingo, so he beat him like 4 times in a regular match. So yeah, it's just really cool and a really fun matchup. A lot of cool spots. Mentioned the whole come from behind story for Shingo. It's a surprise win. Like I think a lot of people were invested in Taichi being KLPW and him doing something different with it. But yeah, Shingo's the KLPW guy right now, and like you mentioned, it's going to be see what's interesting on what's coming up next for KLPW. So with that, let's transfer over to Wrestling Dontaku, which is happening May 1st. And, the next really big New Japan show happening starts at 4 a.m. Eastern time here for the big Wrestling Dontaku show. And one thing I love here, we're not getting, 2 or 3 nights of Dontaku. We're getting one big size card here. And it looks like a really fun show from top to bottom.
Classic, single, New Japan, big-ass show. I'm here for it.
So we'll run down the card here, give our thoughts and predictions for each of the matchups here. So the show will open up. We have a 6-man tag match here. We have the Suzuki-gun team of Tai Chi, Taka Michinoku, and Zack Sabre Jr. taking on the LIJ team of Bushi and Shingo Takagi, and they'll be teaming up with Tatsumi Fujinami.
Yeah, this probably just a fun opener. We're getting Fujinami on all these big shows, which is it's neat, and he still has something, right?
Mm-hmm.
He still can get in there in a multi-man match, so cool to see him involved here. Could this set up a KOPW something or other? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that would be what that's what I will be keeping an eye out for, because I don't see a different reason for this match to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the idea you have of Zack being the one to go after Shingo. We know Zack and Shingo, they've developed this rivalry over the G1 and world title matches in New Japan Cup, and then with Sabre being Tai Chi's partner, Sabre could be, wanting to avenge Tai Chi and bring the KOPW back to Suzuki-gun and Dangerous Tekkers. So you could have Shingo and Sabre have a match, and maybe Sabre says, hey, let's have a submission match.
Submission. Yeah, I was going to say that's the simplest way, right? Mm-hmm. Submission match, or then Shingo says, no, pins only.
Right? Yeah. There we go.
So then the people vote, submission or pins only. I think we just booked it. There's it. So, and that's simple, but also pro wrestling, right? Like that's where this could be, right? So what do you want to see? Do you want to see, who do you want to have the advantage as the fan, right?
Right, yeah.
Shingo just won a 30 count match, so Shingo can build up some pins, right?
Right, yeah.
Zack won one match in the New Japan Cup with a pin, right? And everything else is submission. He's such a submission guy. So that could,
bro,
Jeremy,
dude,
let's go.
Gato,
let's go.
Give us the call. We got you. We can book this KLPW for you.
I know I kind of shadow book New Japan a little bit, and stats and data. But this seems like just an idea right out of the brain. Yeah. I'm here for it.
Send this to the right people in the office, put in a good word for me.
Let's see. I know some people who know some people, and I don't know which people they know, but I know that they know some people in the room. So maybe I'll plant that seed, see if I can get it into the room.
Yeah, we need to get that going. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
Wait. What would you vote for? If those were the options?
I think I would go submission and see Shingo again. I think Shingo is so good at being the underdog and having to fight from underneath and rally. So I think it would be cool for Shingo. Yeah, he hits a pumping bomber, but what do you
put hold on?
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously Shingo is a very talented guy and obviously can do submission. So it would be cool though. Like he's going for a pumping bomber. He's going for Last of the Dragon Made in Japan, and he's like, oh crap, I can't win with pinfall. I need to throw a hold on now.
Gotta do painful things.
Right. So it'd be cool to have him fight from underneath, Sabre have the advantage, and then it could be a match where either guy can win. Like Sabre could win, and then you're just kind of bouncing KOPW around, but you're having these more fun pro wrestling style matchups.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what's the shame in bouncing this thing around too, right? Like it's a provisional championship too, so the hot potato thing actually adds drama to who gets to hold it at the end of the year or whatever. They haven't really made that a big deal, but they could. Right. So yeah, I don't know. I got hopes now.
Because I feel like it's been so stagnant. Like it just became like a Toru Yano show, and like you expect, all right, well, Yano's just gonna win, and if he loses, he's gonna get right back, and so it's kind of been this revolving Yano show for the last couple of years now. So to actually have it bouncing around from person to person and getting some fresh kind of stipulations and matchups here and being more pro wrestling based, it's a lot of fun.
I know there are wrestlers that want KOPW to be this, right? That this was initially the pitch to the locker room, that like it was going to be more like what we saw with Tai Chi and Shingo. So, and then it just kind of lived with Yano for so long that it ended up in a rut. And, there could be something here that could be fun. And I think, there was some truth to the things Tai Chi and Shingo have said about this, particular lane of New Japan and kind of elevating this this particular piece. So putting people like Zack Sabre Jr. or Shingo in that mix would be neat. Now we're way ahead of ourselves. We don't even know that that's where we're headed. But now I have a reason to care about this match because I want to see Zack somehow get, bait Shingo into a KOPW thing. And if that happens, then someone needs to hire me and you, and we'll be on the next flight out.
Cut the check. So are you going to go with the Suzuki team winning?
Yeah. I'm going to, because I want that. I want Zack to defeat Shingo and set up the some sort of KOPW thing. So yes.
My only issue of going with the Suzuki team is Taka's on that side, and he's the lowest man on the totem pole in this match. So I could see Shingo winning, but Zack still
somehow
calling him out afterwards. We've seen plenty of times, and then you can set the KOPW that way.
Maybe Taka's on the come up.
Hey, maybe he is.
He's not. They're running another Taka Mania thing, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So the relationship must be good.
Yeah, I mean, after that beating he took from Dangerous Techers.
I'll never forget watching that.
Yeah,
I will never forget watching that. That was alarming.
That man, earned his way back in with those licks. Man,
and no one stopped him.
Right.
He had a team. That was a tag team match, and no one stopped that.
Oh man, Suzuki just watched that man just get murdered.
Just watching a man die, the same way, the exact way you would expect.
Yep. It would have been funny if Suzuki had just made a 3-on-2, 3-on-1,
just got on the other side of the
ring. Oh man. So following that 6-man, we're gonna have Hiromu Takahashi versus Yo, like we talked about. This all came from the Golden Fight series where Hiromu called Yo out and Yo retaliated and challenged Hiromu. So now we have this added singles matchup, special singles match between Hiromu and Yo. Who you got, Chris?
I think if Yo loses here, he's officially a hoe. I mean, I don't know that there's any way around it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
the stakes are high for Yo.
This is, kind of a make or break, especially going into Best of the Super Juniors next month. If he loses, it's then he really is just a guy. There's nothing to him. Why even bother caring or investing in this guy? So I think he does need the big win. Like you mentioned earlier, I think this is the make good for last year's Super Junior finals that had the show interference. I feel like these guys can have their clean, straight up matchup here. The only thing, it is the second match of the night, so I don't know how much time they're gonna get. But
that might be a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, these two dudes, 12 to 15 minutes, junior style, New Japan match. Doesn't have to be high flying, right? But good, solid, good pace. No, not main event style. Hiromu's proven that he can do New Japan main event style. He can do it. We know. I want to see Hiromu do 12 to 15 minutes with a guy that they main evented, right? Mm-hmm. Together. So that's my true hope for this match, regardless of who wins, is that we get a kind of a classic junior undercard match.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Yo here because I just don't think it makes booking sense to beat Yo at this point. I think Yo needs to win, and then that can set up Hiromu going into Super Juniors maybe with a little bit of broken confidence, and it's a whole new story where Hiromu's not, just dominating everybody, and he's kind of struggling a little bit in Super Juniors.
Yeah, I think Yo needs to win this for Best of Super Juniors to be interesting. Yeah. And I love Best of Super Juniors. My favorite tournament, honestly, when it's true, right? When it's international, etc. And that hopefully we'll see some, we got to see talent announcements for that soon, right?
Maybe this show.
Maybe on the show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope. I'll be watching live, so I always like to see the talent announcements. Yeah, this would be the time, I guess, because it's only 2 weeks out then.
Yeah. So then after that, we have another special singles match with House of Torture's Yuto Takahashi taking on Tanga Loa.
Yeah, I mean, big match, huge. He's gonna show up. You know it. Tangaloa is gonna have a singles match. Yep. Yeah, no, I mean it's a reasonable match to have on this card. Given the Bullet Club and House of Torture stuff. So, am I excited for it? No, but I get it. I understand why it exists, and I think, yeah, Yujiro probably just to take you off the scent for the Evil Tamatanga match.
Maybe, but they did such a big emphasis on Yujiro cheating to beat Tangaloa in the Never Six-Man title match. I feel like Tangaloa is going to get revenge here, get some comeuppance, and get the win over Yujiro. But I mean, they could do. I mean, honestly, it could go either way. But I'm gonna go with Tangaloa.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a long game here with these guys, but it gets them on the card. And I love a singles match, so
right. And I'm sure it's gonna be kept very short, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, and we'll get some sort of mid-match monologue from Tangaloa.
It's pretty hilarious though. Sometimes. I
mean, they're better than other mid-match monologues in other companies, so. Same family-ish.
So after that match, we'll have our first championship match of the evening. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles will be on the line. As 6 or 9, Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi will defend their titles against the Suzuki-gun team of Doki and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
Is it Doki's time?
I want it to be Doki's time.
I know you do.
Doki has been fighting so hard. This guy's been having great matches, risking his body for our entertainment, not wanting to go back to the indie dirty slums of Tijuana, Mexico. I feel like it's his time. I mean, Master Wato has held gold. Yoshihashi has held gold. It is now time for Doki. This man has come in clutch in 2 Best of Super Juniors now. He's been having bangers with Hiromu. He's been great in Never Six-Man title matches. It's time. Give Doki, give him shine here. Let him capture his first IWGP gold here.
I don't think it's Doki's time. I just don't. I think Doki's got to work his way up the same way everyone else tries to. I think he's got to win those Never Sixes somehow. Probably after El Desperado loses the junior championship. Maybe we'll get a full junior team win the Never Sixes, which would actually be kind of cool. It could be though. Could be Doki's time. I don't know. This it's tough. This is a tough one because neither of these teams is like a clear favorite in any way. Mm-hmm. But Wato and Taguchi keep kind of finding ways to make themselves into winners, and Doki does not typically find a way to make himself into a winner. So, like with that said, I think I have to go with the momentum of team 6 or 9. But I would love it. Don't get me wrong. But if we're doing actual predictions, I have to predict team 6 or 9.
Yeah, man, it's a tough one, and this one hard thing to think about too is like what's next. We don't have a ton of junior tag teams right now, so if Taguchi and Wato do win, like is it back to ELP and Tai Chi, like who like?
Well, I think you start to see some things probably set up during the Super Juniors then.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna go against my head. I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna go with Doki and Kanemaru as our new junior tag champs. So following that, we'll have another tag title match. The IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles will be on the line in a 3-way match. The champions, representing the United Empire, Great Okan and Jeff Cobb, will be defending against Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi, and the Bullet Club duo of Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens.
Yeah, we already talked about this one a little bit when we talked about the results of the previous show, but I think you leave those titles on United Empire, because I think that's a top tier tag team, and they've been booked as such for a long time now. Their all-time record as a tag team is outrageously good. So yeah, I think you leave the titles with them. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, Jeff Cobb did a little photo shoot in some sort of hot bath or something with the IWGP tag title.
I did not see that.
It's, I mean, it's not for children. It's not the last picture on of the 4 that he posted on Twitter is not for children. It should take the Elon Musk censorship.
Shawn Michaels has started a bad trend for wrestlers taking questionable pictures with titles. We've seen it with Sammy and Ty, and
yeah.
and now Cobb is now joining the club here.
He looks like he's having a good time though. It's really not like it's not like that. Well, it is like that, but it's also not. It's not quite the Shawn Michaels level, if you're catching what I'm throwing down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, like I said, seeing those dudes in person, up close and personal in Chicago at Windy City Riot, like, I think there's so much to do with these guys as the champs. There's some fresh matchups. There's energy around it. It builds up United Empire just a little bit, right? And these not that they necessarily need that, but some gold on that in that unit is good. So I think you leave the gold with them, and you can cycle out Goto and Yoshihashi and the Bullet Club group, and I think there's going to be other tag teams available as we go forward here. So I think to me that's the play.
Yeah, I think you really just establish Okan and Cobb here for at least one defense here. And from when you see it right, they did tease a Cobb and Okan versus Good Brothers. And I believe Cobb and Okan are going to be back in the States after this show, because they're going to be on the Collision tapings for New Japan Strong in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they pretty much turn right back around and come back and continue their US stuff. So, yeah, they look good with the belts.
Yeah,
they look good. So
Capital Collision, you could do Cobb and Okan versus Good Brothers.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that would be the show, I think, to do that.
Yeah.
And then that could, I guess, go either direction. That could be the conduit to get the Good Brothers actually back with New Japan proper, which I know, we've all heard for a long time that was their goal. And they ended up with Impact because of pandemic and all that. But, I would be prepared for the Good Brothers to start showing up in proper New Japan pretty soon.
Yeah, and I believe that their Impact contracts are ending pretty soon as well. So I don't know how much longer we'll see them there, and so maybe I will see the full transition over to New Japan now that travel has opened back up and Strong is traveling with fans. So I can see them transitioning more into New Japan. But yeah, that could be the gateway to, especially Forbidden Door, of Bullet Club being involved. Maybe you want Good Brothers in some kind of match with those titles. Good Brothers versus FTR maybe, but for now, yeah, I think Cobb and O'Connor will get the win here and go on to defend the titles in the States. And I could see them pinning Fale and Chase, so you could also save a Bishamon rematch down the line.
Yeah, and also really eliminate that segment of the Bullet Club, I guess, right? If we're talking about getting Gallows and Anderson involved. So I don't know that Gallows and Anderson are the guys to have the belt going into Forbidden Door, though, because we saw so much of them on AEW TV already.
Right, yeah.
So that's not super exciting, but not everything's going to be exciting. Right. Some of it's going to be storyline advancement. I think you're going to see a lot of Bullet Club stuff. So, yeah, that's an interesting call out, though.
Yeah, but I guess you could have Cobb and O'Con beat them, and then for Dominion, you could run back Cobb and O'Con versus Bishamon.
Yeah, I think you got to get Goto and Yoshihashi out of the picture for a little while. But if they're going to be a tag team long term going forward, I guess you keep them involved.
Yeah. So then following that, we will have the never open weight title on the line as the champion Evil will defend against Tama Tonga.
I'm looking forward to this because I think the result is entirely in question. I'm kind of hopeful for a Tama Tonga win just to see where they go, right? Because the only feud for him right now is Bullet Club or House of Torture related. And obviously he's going to live in that space, but if he's a title holder, that does open up the door a little bit further for some other stuff. Plus, Jay White was the never open weight. The last time Jay White was in Japan, he had a belt, and it was the never open weight championship. Right. So if we're finally getting to the point where these guys are all going to start to interact and Jay White's going to get involved, maybe Tama Tonga is the guy to put it on. Evil works too, but Tama Tonga has actually already been, kicked out of Bullet Club or, removed from Bullet Club. So that would open the door to getting Jay White involved. If you wanted to put him back with the never open weight championship, if he's ready for travel, he's got his visa stuff situated. So I guess that would be a kind of a clearer path to get Jay White involved in all the shenanigans. Jay White versus Tama Tonga for a series.
Yeah, I'm all behind Tama Tonga here. I think it's his time. I think the babyface turn has been working great. The crowd's really into it. He's been fired up. I was talking about Yo and what's missing. Tama Tonga has that fire, that energy. He's connecting with the crowd. His match is full of intensity, kind of that quick snap. Like you can tell he's a guy in a blood feud, and he's fighting for his life here. And I think everything with this rivalry in turn has been working out so well for him, and he's really shown a lot of fire as a babyface. And I think it's time to give him a little shot here, give him the never title, and give him a run with that belt. And again, that opens things up, like you mentioned, with the Jay White feud. And so, yeah, I mean, on a U.S. New Japan show, you could do Jay versus Tama for the never title, or maybe somehow it plays into Forbidden Door. Maybe Tama defends against one of the elite guys, maybe. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with that. But I think it makes a lot of sense here for Tama to get the win.
Yeah, and it opens up Evil to do something else. So,
right.
And who knows what that is, but he wiggles his way into big situations.
Right, and he'll still be 1/3 of the Never Six-Man champs, and he can maybe just focus on that and then keep Evil tucked away in that 6-man division, and allow the Never title to kind of breathe and do some other stuff with it.
I do get the sense that this is going to be a good match, though. I think Tama Tonga is like a great foil for Evil, because like you said, like this babyface turn has been hot, right? People like him and they have liked him, especially since I think the G1 and the run in with Okada and all that. So I know that some people typically avoid Evil matches because they've been burned by them. This one, it has the elements that you want as you're building a match against like a shithouse heel like Evil, right? So I think that I have some confidence that this match is going to be entertaining.
Yeah, and this is one where I really wish the fans could be vocal, because the crowd, they're so behind Tama Tonga right now, and I feel like we're going to get a lot of great near falls. I think we're going to get some gas. I think they're going to break the rules. I think we're going to get some audible noise every time Tama Tonga gets close to winning, because that is one thing. They have done a great job of making Evil so hateable. The crowd likes to see him lose and see their guys win, and the crowd right now is really behind Tama. So I think for every near fall, they're going to be excited, and people are really going to want to see Tama beat Evil here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So then that takes us to the 7th match on the card. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight title will be on the line. The champion, El Desperado, will defend against the Bone Soldier, Taiji Ishimori.
I love Taiji Ishimori, but I need something fresh from him. I think he has some of my favorite New Japan matches in the last 4 or 5 years, but I haven't seen any fire from him in a long time, except I guess maybe the Hiromu match at Wrestle Kingdom 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That match was great. But that's like the last time the last memorable Taiji Ishimori match for me. So I would love to have confidence that this is going to be another one, but he's not hot right now. So I hope they come out swinging. This is 7th on the card, 7th of 9. That's a great slot for the Junior Heavyweight Championship, above the Never, right? Like that's an interesting thing at play here, is that it is slotted higher than the Never Championship. As we head towards Best of the Super Juniors, I think that title's strong. The Junior Heavyweight title is strong, but I'm hopeful for an El Desperado win. I want to see him carry the belt through Best of the Super Juniors. I want to see them set some stuff up for him through that tournament, and I don't care to see Ishimori carry the belt into that tournament. So as like when you carry a belt through a tournament like that, you become the kind of the target, and that's an interesting story. And I think the story still lives with El Desperado, and I think he's going to be the winner here.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Ishimori's not hot right now. This whole feud's not really been hot because it was kind of built on this Golden Fight Series tour, which it seems like a lot of people kind of just blew off and weren't really watching. Desperado's not really hot right now as a champion either. He really hasn't had really anything super exciting going on so far in his first quarter of the year. Since Wrestle Kingdom, I feel like his matches have just kind of, they've been good, but I don't feel like they've been as talked about or super heated, like some of his previous matches before he won the title. So overall, it's a very kind of cold program coming into this title match. So I do expect Desperado to retain, like you mentioned. I think it makes a ton of sense, especially because I feel like they are trying to transition, from Hiromu to Desperado as the guy to kind of carry a division and be the one to main event these tours, and somebody else who can draw, so it's not just Hiromu. So I feel like with him as a champion, he needs to be champion going into that tour to kind of do that, and I just don't feel like it makes a ton of sense for Ishimori to be the champion right now. Especially, too, since they teased, Francisco Akira kind of being in the mix as well, and he's going to be in Super Juniors, so I think eventually, we'll get a Akira, probably Desperado.
Sure.
He'll probably pin Despy in their block, and they'll set up a title match down the line for them. So, I think Despy needs to retain here.
Yeah, here's hoping.
So then following that, we have the semi-main event, which will be for the IWGP United States Heavyweight title. The title is currently vacant, as Sonata had to give the title up because of his orbital bone injury. So we have the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, facing the Commonwealth Kingpin, Will Ospreay, for the vacant IWGP US title.
I don't know who's going to win this, but it's probably going to rock. Will Ospreay is truly, I think, at the top of his game right now. Everywhere he goes, he is putting in maximum effort. There were probably like 300 people in South Bend this weekend, and him and Blake Christian had what a lot of people are saying is a 4.5, 4 3/4 match. And then obviously most people who are listening to this probably saw the main event of Windy City Riot, where both those dudes, Moxley and Ospreay, put in maximum effort.
Dude, I love that match so much.
It was awesome.
If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. The feed is fixed now. I think it'll be up on New Japan World soon too. People need to watch that match, because I do think it's a legit match of the year contender.
It's gonna be on a lot of lists. Yeah. I don't know if it's gonna be number one. It gets the live bump from me. I was just floored by it. I know people were frustrated with the finish, but the finish actually was good. When it comes down to Will Ospreay's story, that was the perfect finish.
Right. Well, it comes to the thing, if you're not paying attention to what's happening in New Japan, you got Uncle Dave, on Observer Radio, trying to debate whether the finish was a botch or if it was planned, or if you follow Ospreay's story, since he's come back at Resurgence, the whole story is he keeps getting screwed from New Japan. They forced him to vacate the title with his neck injury. He only needed a month, but they still vacated it from him. Then he gets screwed in the Sabre match at New Japan Cup, And now he gets screwed again here at Windy City Riot in the Moxley match. So they're building this whole story up of Ospreay against New Japan.
And and if you watch it again, watch after the bell rings, he's tapping to the bulldog choke or whatever the hold was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was actually perfectly executed, right? And yeah, I had to spend some time explaining it to my wife, who was sitting next to me. I was like, okay, no, here's why this is great, right? And so I get it, right? She's not an avid watcher. She really enjoyed the show, but so I understand, but like that Jeremy Marcus didn't botch that.
Oh, no.
And I know that was out there that like, oh, this ref or whatever. Like, no, he actually nailed it. Like he did exactly what they needed to do, and then he ate a Death Rider basically, which like he sold it like a man too. I mean, really, really great stuff. So Will Ospreay's at the top of his game, max effort. I think you're going to get max effort Hiroshi Tanahashi here too, which is still one of the best on the planet. So this match has you have every reason to believe this might be the match of the night on this card. Plus, I mean, Ospreay and Tanahashi's first match back in the 2019 G1 was awesome.
Yeah, that match rocked.
That match rocked. So there's a lot to be looking forward to in this match. So I'm excited. I think Tanahashi wins this with another
disputed finish.
Well, Ospreay disputes the finish.
Right, yeah.
Somehow, for some reason, right? And I don't know how you get there, but they're getting creative. Because honestly, that finish at the end of Windy City Riot was really creative. And Ospreay, like I said, he's really on top of his game. Wrestler of the year, right? Like when it comes to the in-ring stuff, there's no one even close, I don't think, right now. I think some guys are going to start to elevate and you'll see some big AEW stuff. But if you haven't watched Will Ospreay's singles matches pretty much everywhere he goes right now, you're missing out, because he is really hitting his stride as a heavyweight. So there's a part of me that hopes he wins this, and then, that sets up a whole nother path for him, or for him and Moxley, right? Because then Will would have the championship that New Japan let Moxley hold on to forever, right? There's so many directions you can go. But I kind of think the story continues. Will eats another loss, but it's contested, and it'll be another way where like, it's like, well, he's kind of got a good point, but he also would have lost. So yeah, that's kind of my take here, that it's going to be a great match. I think my end prediction's got to be that Tanahashi's going to end up winning it, but dang, this is gonna. I think this is gonna rock.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. Also, we got a Okada Naito main event, but I think this could steal the show. Like you mentioned, the G1 matchup 2019 was awesome, and yeah, both these guys are gonna go out here and kill it. But yeah, there's so many options that can go here. Like it makes sense for Tanahashi to win, makes sense for Ospreay to win. Like you mentioned, do some kind of finish where Ospreay can dispute it. I think the big thing that I'm thinking about as I'm thinking of who's going to win is, we had Moxley at the end of Windy City Riot calling out Tanahashi for Capital Collision in Washington, D.C. Next month in May. And so that match, as of this recording, has not been made official yet, but we know, like you mentioned, Moxley has been very involved around the U.S. title. We remember last year, it seemed like we were going to get Tanahashi and Moxley at Resurgence for the U.S. title, but then Archer beat Moxley for the U.S. title, and we got Archer and Tanahashi instead. And it's been this whole story of Tanahashi, quote-unquote, ducking Moxley. So, yeah, if Tanahashi wins, then you could do Capital Collision. You could do Tanahashi versus Mox for the U.S. title. Huge matchup, and then Moxley get the title back, and maybe then you do Moxley defending the U.S. title against Ospreay. Or, Ospreay wins here, and then Tanahashi and Moxley kind of becomes a de facto number one contender match for the U.S. title. Then the winner of that faces Ospreay at Forbidden Door or wherever they'll face him. So, yeah, there's so many options here. But I'm going to go with the ace. You never count against the ace. I'm going to go with Tanahashi here. And I agree with you. I think we'll see that continuation of the story going on, that we'll get some kind of, maybe you have where it's like a double cradle, but the ref is only looking at Ospreay's shoulders and doesn't really see Tanahashi's shoulders are down. And
the old Sonata Zack Sabre Jr.
yeah, and kind of award it to Tanahashi.
Yeah, exactly right. So the ref, yeah, that could work. Something like that could work. Yeah. Or they're both tapping, or it could be anything, right?
Right.
Yeah. Gosh, this it's gonna be fun because this is pro wrestling, right? There's like wacky stuff happening, and Will Ospreay, he really does have this like character down to a science now. Right now, this whole New Japan keeps screwing me. I mean, he's gonna run this for years now.
Yeah.
And it's great. So far it's great. It might get a little long in the tooth at some point, but right now it's still good.
Right. Well, I mean, he can't keep losing. I mean, at some point,
right,
he's going to have to win, or maybe he gets like his own like United Empire referee at some point. And but yeah, there's a lot to tell here with this whole New Japan's against Ospreay story. But yeah, I love here we have a title match, very unpredictable. Like, we're guaranteed a new champion either way, and it can go either way. And so there's so many options that they can do here. And then it also builds the things to come with Capital Collision and Forbidden Door. There's so much exciting stuff to come from this match. But I'm going to go with Ace, because didn't Ospreay beat Tanahashi in that G1 match?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tana's got to get that win back.
3 years on, you got to get your win back.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun matchup. And then the main event here for the IWGP World Heavyweight title, the champion Kazuchika Okada will defend against Tetsuya Naito.
We've seen this match a couple times in recent history, right? But it's still it's still Okada and Naito. Like, it's still two of the best in the game in a generational rivalry in a dome now, right? So I think this will be obviously the climax of this run of these two matches. I do think there's a chance Naito walks out as the champion. I think it's more likely now than it was their last title match. So that's good. We have that going for us. But I think ultimately, Okada's going to retain. But I'm not ruling out Naito like I would have earlier in the year. So just because I don't think you want to make him into a geek,
Right, yeah.
But Okada wins their title matches and Naito wins their tournament matches. Like, that's the history with these guys. And that's kind of a broad, it's not exclusively that way. But just if you're going by majorities, that's how this goes. So it would be an upset if Naito won, but I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind a little run from Naito. Naito's a candidate to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship because he's lost a World Championship match. Everyone loses their first IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match except for Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I agree with you. I think there's a good chance here that Naito could win, shake some things up going into Dominion and G1 and giving him a run. It is the 50th anniversary, and so obviously a lot of that's been built around Okada, but you can definitely build the second half of the year around Naito easily if you want to. But I don't know. I still have this feeling like they're just going to go with Okada all year. I can easily see Okada walking into Wrestle Kingdom as a champion after having a long title reign. So I think I'm going to go with Okada here. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Naito wins, but I just feel like, especially with all the AEW stuff going on, I think having him as a champ, as like the main guy representing New Japan, I think that makes a ton of sense, and I could see him defending the IWGP title on that Forbidden Door show.
Right, but you could also just do a big-ass match with Okada without the title.
That's true. I mean, you could do Okada Punk. Doesn't need a belt, especially
no titles, main event.
Yeah,
no doubt.
If Punk needs to win, and you don't want to beat Okada with the belt, you can have non-title. Yeah, Punk can beat
And
Okada.
Naito in America it will be a big deal. I assume he'll be here for that show. So,
yeah, he's made
because he doesn't come over very frequently.
Right. I saw him make comments earlier. I think it was Sports Illustrated where he's like, a lot of people are going to be clamoring to face LIJ and Naito. He's like, I'm just waiting for the line to kind of form. So I think he'll definitely be on Forbidden Door. There's a lot of options there for him to face. People throwing out, Andrade. People want to see him against Orange Cassidy, both Tranquilo guys. So there's a lot of fun options for Naito.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Naito as champion, maybe you don't get as big of a Okada versus Punk level match, right? Because I don't know that there's something that's that level, but I don't know. Naito's still a guy.
Right. I mean, you could do a Naito Andrade title match. I think that's a big match.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
And that's
right.
It's a match Naito can win.
Exactly. Right. So I was thinking like not even with Naito, but now that you brought up Andrade, I threw it out there with in a different conversation. Like I want to see like Andrade versus like Goto or something, just like an undercard, 12-minute, like go out and have a G1 style sprint kind of match.
That'd be fun.
I honestly just a card of that, like an old school 10 singles match, kind of like early 2010s G1 style card, but company versus company. That'd be cool too. I don't need the titles.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's going to happen, but dang, that'd be fun.
Yeah. So are you going Naito?
I think I got to stick with Okada as my prediction, but I have to throw the like caveat that I think it's a non-zero chance that Naito wins.
Yeah. So that kind of answers Dom Homie's question here about the possibility of Naito walking out as a champ. I think there's a chance, but I don't know. Still,
it's hard to pull it off of Okada.
Yeah.
Right now, Okada's also at the top of his game.
Right.
So,
and again, they're trying to recoup from losses from the pandemic. Okada's the top star, the top draw. You need, they had their most financial, successful year with him as a champ. That super long title reign. Why not run it back and, try and regain some profits here?
Yeah, and another thing I'll be keeping an eye on with this particular show is what is the draw, right? I don't think they're going to fill this dome. I don't know if they're allowed to. I don't know what the limitations are, but we are seeing, anytime I watch a pro wrestling show happening from Japan, I feel like there's more people in each building, right? Mm-hmm. Dragon Gate, Noah's having a tough time. Dragon Gate, Stardom, New Japan, like a lot of these companies are starting to see lifts in their draw, and this will be another litmus test for New Japan as to where their drawing power is in Japan. So I would love to kind of see more sections filled in the PayPay Dome.
Yeah, because I hope it's not a Grand Slam situation where you have, an empty Tokyo Dome and the matches got really hurt by the obviously the crowd can't cheer. Then you have a little crowd there
and all the lights on.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully get as many people in there as possible. People are ready to clap their hearts out, and we just have a really fun show.
That's a good card, so it should be a fun show. What is it, Sunday morning?
Yep, Sunday morning, 4 a.m. Eastern start time.
Let's go. 3 a.m. my time. I'll be up.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get up live for this one.
Yeah? All right. That's my boy. I'm always so proud of you when you say you're going to get up live.
It's just so much easier sometimes because you kind of like get it out the way, and then
you're done.
Right.
You've watched it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to avoid anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's it for me. Like that's why I watch live, is because like I disappoint myself when I get spoiled.
Right.
And I don't want to do that and feel like it's my fault, because it's my fault if I get spoiled. It's because I opened the dumb Twitter app and someone posted something. It makes me so mad. So I just get up, and I'm up. I work in an industry where I have to be up early anyway, so it's not that different. So 3 a.m. is still like the worst time but
Yeah.
so be it. I'm stoked for it. This will be a good show.
Yeah,
This is a show worth getting up for.
Yeah, 4 a.m. is not too bad for me, and it should be done in time for me to go to church. So
yeah, perfect time for you to you get out and do your stuff. So yeah, love a Sunday morning show though.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live, pal. So now let's talk about New Japan Strong real quick. So New Japan Strong resumed this past Saturday with the Strong Style Evolve tour that took place right here in St. Petersburg / Tampa, Florida. In the Social Suplex crew, we were there live, and once again, we were all in the background of this show. So show opened up, we had Big Damo making his New Japan debut, defeating John Skyler 7 minutes and 4 seconds. Interesting thing here, John Skyler was talking a little bit of crap to my fiance on the way down to the ring, and you can see me kind of get up and go at him. I was ready to throw down with that man, but luckily he walked to the ring.
John was so kind while we ate hot dogs together.
Man, but he was just playing his role here on this show. Thought it was a fine opener. Really nothing special here. I know Damo will be back. He'll be facing Ishii on upcoming Strong taping. But I mean, fine matchup here. I wasn't really overly impressed with either of these guys in this matchup. Yeah,
it was a match. Good, right? Like the wrestling on Strong is always good.
Yeah.
So solid, good, solid, healthy pro wrestling match. Nothing like blow away. Nothing. No one's trying to die in a 7-minute New Japan Strong undercard match, but
right.
It was good.
Yeah,
it was good. It was well wrestled.
Yeah. Then after that, we had acquaintance of mine, Swerve Strickland, defeating Blake Christian at 11 minutes 27 seconds. So Swerve second New Japan appearance here after the Jay White Open Challenge. Blake Christian's been all over the show during the pandemic and afterwards, and so I really enjoy this match. This is one of the best matches live. These guys went out here. Great, just innovative offense, high flying, high pace. Crowd was really into Swerve. Obviously big, whose house, Swerve's house, chants. Swerve's theme, his new theme is awesome. So yeah, a ton of energy in this matchup here and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, these two guys can go. Blake Christian is really coming up here, and I think I kind of mentioned that when I referenced the Ospreay match from Warrior Wrestling, but he's got something. He's putting something together here, so he looks really good. And Swerve, obviously, he's on the come up too. So really, really, really solid between these guys.
Yeah, Blake Christian's a guy I would love to see get a shot in Super Juniors.
Would be cool.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything. I kind of had a tone there, but that would be, I mean, I don't know if he's trying to play the junior card. He's kind of in that in-between size.
I say I'll get it under your belt, and then you could always go heavyweight afterwards.
Yeah, man, that'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
Yeah. Then the main event, we had AEW's Buddy Matthews representing the House of Black, defeating Young Lion. Young Lion on excursion, Yuya Uemura, 9 minutes and 50 seconds.
I'm going to root for Yuya every time. And I know he's not going to win many, but I love him getting in there with pros, right? Like Buddy Matthews is a pro. And we saw that. We've seen that quite a bit. Anytime he's appeared with New Japan, like the Okada match and things like that. So he's a really, really good wrestler. Yuya is he's my locker room favorite to be the next ace. So all these matches are meaningful for me to keep an eye on. And this one was no different. I'd like to see a little bit more advancement as we get further into Uemura's time in the US, but didn't expect him to win, but still, again, a solid match. Good two pros.
Yeah, enjoy this one a lot. Thought it was a good guy for Uemura kind of mix it up with, and Buddy didn't do a ton of high flying or kind of high paced offense that you probably would expect in this match. Obviously, being a heel now with House of Black, more kind of grinding Uemura down and cutting him off, and Uemura had to fight from underneath and fight back and get that young lion fire and make a good comeback, but also kind of overwhelmed here by Buddy Matthews. And it seems like Matthews is kind of targeting the LA Dojo guys because he did wrestle Ren Narita, I believe, on the last set of tapings. And at what tapings was that? I forget now, but
Seattle?
Yeah, I think it was Seattle.
It was Seattle.
Yeah. So he's kind of going after the young lions, it seems like, or the LA Dojo guys. So maybe he's going to be continuing to feud with the LA Dojo boys. So that'll be fun. It's interesting to see how they're going to continue to use guys like Buddy Matthews who have this kind of new gimmick in AEW, the whole House of Black thing, and how that kind of pours over into New Japan Strong.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have the lineup for this coming Saturday, April 30th for Strong Style Evolved. Got a main event of the newly turned heel Jay Lethal taking on Ren Narita. This one was a banger. It's going to be a fun match. Then Mascot Arada takes on TJP, the big Cruiserweight Classic rematch. That was another fun matchup as well. And then the show will open up with Kevin Knight versus the DKC. So the LA Dojo Young Lions continuing their rivalry.
I love Kevin Knight.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's really fun. He's picking up real fast, and his drop kicks are just so high,
They're
crisp.
So high.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And
He's good.
I love that like standing frog splash thing he does. Just jumps up so high, like, dude, got this guy.
Probably not this year, but him in a best of Super Juniors, even as a young lion, that would be fun.
Yeah,
he could have a run where he gets a spot or two in every match.
Yeah, and we had a question here from Fit Beautiful 2638. What grade would you give Rocky / NJPW as talent scouts for Strong? Kozlov, Cross, Damo, Black Tiger seem like big misses, although Dorado was a nice add, Dickinson is a natural fit, Jonah is a perfect monster, and Rosser was a great diamond in the rough.
Listen, this is a show that didn't and wouldn't exist if it weren't for the pandemic. I don't think this is something that would have come to fruition in the way that it has. So with that said, through adversity, they've put together a meaningful New Japan show, a meaningful weekly New Japan show that happens in America and gives a reason for people to go to these tapings monthly, give or take. So with that said, for this to really kind of come out of the ashes of what looked like, the death of New Japan of America when it comes down to, the pandemic getting in the way of stuff, like how can you give it anything but, an A, right? If you're grading it, like not everyone's for everyone, this person lays out some people that they don't necessarily enjoy, but overall, if you're looking at it as a business mover, developmental, something that can be broadcast both in the US and internationally and in Japan, right? To establish characters, right? Like guys like Clark Connors would have been just completely lost without this show.
Yeah.
And not being able to get to Japan. Like, maybe they'd still be under contract, or maybe they would have had to, I don't know, somehow move to Japan in the middle of a pandemic. But this game, like Clark Connors, stars have been born out of this show. Look at JR Kratos, Team Filthy, Tom Lawler, like all of those guys. And then you've got the young lions that have then since graduated, Coughlin and Connors, and even Fredericks kind of coming back into the fold here and being really important, giving Jay White somewhere to wrestle some of these either independent or AEW guys. Like there's so much. And then not to mention Chris Dickinson, right? Who now has said he's signed with New Japan and New Japan's his priority, which is a great pickup and a great get. And a guy that I cannot wait to see appear in Japan. And now you're running essentially quarterly pay-per-views that people purchase and you make a little bit of money on, and you sell 2,200 tickets in Chicago for a show that's really meaningful for both New Japan proper as well as New Japan Strong going forward. Like, I don't know. I can't speak higher of the show, and maybe not everything's a hit, but gosh, it gets people back into the system. And God, if you make the list of all the people that New Japan essentially has access to or a relationship with now, this roster is stacked, primed, and loaded to just kill it going forward. And a lot of those guys came and started their relationship because of Strong. And with that, I have to say, New Japan and Rocky and whoever else has been involved in bringing in talent has done an incredible job in a really, really competitive space. So I can't speak higher of it, and I have no reason to speak highly of it besides the fact that I am a fan.
Yeah, I mean, we've been singing the praises of New Japan Strong, and I think Rocky and the office there have done a great job in finding and cultivating talent. Like you mentioned, so many of the guys kind of breaking through, Filthy Tom and Chris Dickinson, Brody King, a lot of those guys really breaking through on Strong during the pandemic. And since then, they've been bringing in top indie names and talents. Like we just mentioned, we talked about Swerve and Blake Christian and Buddy Matthews and Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels and Mysterioso. Like there's been so many really talented guys. TJP, a lot of really great wrestlers coming in on the show and having really, really good professional wrestling matchups. And Strong, it's one of the best hours of pro wrestling out there, and that is because of the well-rounded roster that they've created and established.
Yeah, not to mention bringing in someone like Ian Riccoboni, right, to do commentary.
Yeah.
Now that you kind of needed someone else at that level to push the product up when someone like Kevin Kelly's not available. So that's a cool get too. So it seems like a show that really has its finger on the pulse of what's possible and who's out there and who's available. And listen, people want to wrestle in that blue ring, right?
Yep.
That's cerulean blue.
Yeah.
People want to wrestle in it. I think a lot of them would prefer it happen in Japan, but maybe this is that stepping stone for a lot of them. And I've already kind of given that list. So, I mean, people want to wrestle on top of that line mark, right? That USA line mark on that Windy City Riot show, that looked pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Dope. Yeah.
That was a good looking ring.
Dom Hoy 101 asks, what's the end game for this Jay White Open Challenge?
I got to figure they're going to do one last open challenge on one of the big shows, right? One of the pay-per-views that is an actual shock and Jay actually doesn't win, or, maybe he still wins, but I think that's the end game. Maybe it's someone like Tama Tonga.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I would keep an eye on those pay-per-view level shows though for that, because you're not going to want to do something big like that on a taped show.
Right. And also the whole purpose of this, I think, Jay White Challenge was also to give him something to do while he's waiting to get his U.S. citizenship until he can go back to Japan. So he's a big star. You need to do something with him. So Jay White Challenge has been great. It's been very interesting. He's been having a lot of fresh, fun matchups during this open challenge. And so I think it'll keep going until they get some kind of confirmation that he can return to Japan. Then, like you mentioned, you do the big kind of blow off where somebody finally beats him, and then that leads to whatever story from there.
Yeah, right. It leads to the exit of the open challenge, right?
Right.
Now he's involved.
Right, and maybe he eventually kind of is less on Strong and more back in Japan once he can go over there.
Yeah.
He also asks, how does the New Japan Strong roster fit in with the regular New Japan roster?
I mean, I kind of laid it out in my praise of Strong, but I mean, add any of these guys to any of the tournaments or any of the tours, and all of a sudden you've got all sorts of fresh matchups or just different guys on the undercard. There's a lot, right? So
right,
whether it's Super Juniors or G1 or God, even think of the New Japan Cup. If they were able to get some of these guys over, you could have actually done a 64 person field, right? Like, and actually just have all those matches. I mean, there's a lot of really good wrestlers that are available to New Japan. And they are working really hard to get a lot of those guys over to Japan, with purpose. So I think resurgence may have just been a show last August, but the resurgence of New Japan as an international company, I think you're going to start to see it come to fruition here. Maybe with Best of Super Juniors. I'm really hopeful that field is really interesting with some of these strong guys. And, again, it's a place to cultivate relationships, both between the wrestlers and New Japan, as well as the wrestlers and the fan base.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of emphasis on the door between AEW and New Japan, but I think there's also big benefits from the door between New Japan Strong and New Japan Proper. And I think right now we're already seeing New Japan Proper guys come to Strong, and now we're going to see the opposite way. We're going to see more guys from Strong going to Japan. I think as travel gets easier, we're going to see this back and forth. You're going to see Ishii on Strong. You're going to see Filthy Tom on Road to whatever their show they're doing. Like, you're going to see these guys going back and forth, and I think we're going to see more continuity on what's happening in both brands. So, initially Strong was kind of in its own little universe, but the more the world has opened up and we're getting Ishis and Suzukis and Tanahashis and Ospreys on Strong, a lot of what's happening in Japan is spilling over on Strong. And once the Strong guys can get to Japan, I think we'll see that go the other way. We'll see Strong storylines spill in Japan. You'll see Team Filthy having some kind of big emphasis in Japan. Maybe you have like JR Kratos versus Alex Coughlin. It happens in Japan. Like you can do stuff like that.
I really just want to hear Tom Lawler's slimy ass theme song on a proper New Japan show.
Oh man,
there's no other way to describe it. It's the slimiest song I've ever heard. I love it. I love everything about it.
The best is when he's like singing it too on the way down to the ring. Oh man,
it's awesome.
All right, well, let's jump into some quick news items here. So first thing, on Sunday, June 19th, Strong will return to Vermont, Hollywood with the Ignition Tour. Names currently announced: Jay White, Hikuleo, Tom Lawler, and Mascara Dorada. More names to be announced for that. Then New Japan President Takami Obari here in the news. He saved a little girl at a train station. So he tweeted this, that I just returned to Japan. I'm on my way home by train. A few minutes ago, a girl who could barely stand fell between the train and the platform. She was lying on the platform, and with the help of her mother, we managed to pull her up. Her little face could barely fit through the gap. Since I retired from volleyball, my height has never been so useful. My heart is still racing. So first we got Okan making, a save, and now we have Obari here.
You think Obari just like got some ideas with the Okan story, and he was like, I gotta save a girl.
How do I one up Okan?
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. Good. Hey, listen, good people working in the New Japan offices.
Yeah.
That's been my experience. So he seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
He very easily could have just walked away. So, but apparently he's a tall man. He is a tall man. He's a tall man, and hey, that's awesome. Also terrifying.
Oh yeah.
To think like that's the scariest thing I've ever heard. Like, imagine being trapped by a train track. That's terrible.
And again, not knowing if you're going to be able to get out or not.
Yeah. I'm not here for that. That's not cool. Yeah. So good on him for saving maybe my worst fear. That little girl might be my worst fear.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, how weird that two things like that happened.
Right, like so close together, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's a work. I don't know. I still like it.
a PR work.
Obari's trying to get out there publicly. He is very clear.
Yeah.
Yep. He might be turning into Tony Khan here.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to say.
We have the results here from the Korakuen Hall 60th anniversary show. That was a joint show with New Japan and All Japan. It drew a sellout of 1,588 paid. As we know, we're getting more and more people allowed in Korakuen Hall. We had Fujita of New Japan beating Ryo Inouye of All Japan, both young lions there. Then we had Yoshitatsu teaming up with Taguchi and Wato to beat Takeo Omori and Nakashima and Oiwa. Then we had Yano and Yoshinobu, Yano, Tajiri, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Black Minizero. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly. They took on, or what's the three-way? Totally confused here. Sorry, this was a three-way. Yano, or was it a tag match? I totally can't read my notes here. Looks like it was Yano and Tajiri beating Kanemaru and Black Minizero. There we go. 10 minutes and 12 seconds. Then we had Naito, Shingo, and Hiromu and Bushi of LIJ beating Makabe, Honma, Aoyagi, both Aoyagis of All Japan. Then we have Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo beating Suwama, Ashino, Dan Tamura. And then the main event, we had Tanahashi and Kento Miyahara of New Japan, All Japan, going to a 30-minute draw with Tai Chi and Jake Lee. So, also, we still don't have any tape on that yet, but sounds like it was a fun show.
I may have just found the tape on that, actually.
Oh,
as
nice.
you were talking about it, I was like, I wonder if this has popped up anywhere. Seems like it has. So it's out there. Y'all can find it on your own.
Update on Kota Ibushi, so that he considers himself at between 70 and 85%, but that his right side tires quicker and hurts more than the left side. He said when he gets his strength back on the right side and gets his balance fully back, he'll be ready to make his comeback. So just kind of interesting, considering he was slated for potentially winning the New Japan Cup, and he.
I mean, that's what. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of wish things would just be quiet with Ibushi, and he would pop up in either Forbidden Door or get announced for the G1, or
Yeah.
I don't know. This giving me percentages of growth. It's kind of like video gaming himself
it's
into
it's totally a Bushi thing to
exactly
to be like, oh, I am at 75%
I'm at
today.
78.6% today. He's got it down to some weird science.
Oh, totally. Him and his 26-hour, 25-hour.
Oh, it's 25-hour day
that he lives.
And he's gonna live to be
100,
200
something? Yeah, and keep wrestling.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Listen, I hope he does.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, time is undefeated.
I mean, if Sting can do cross bodies off of stuff, imagine what an old Ibushi is going to be able to do.
Damn. Yeah, that's a good point. I fear for that.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not excited for it. I'm actually scared.
Other news, we got Bishamon, Goto, and Yoshihashi. They're next up for the online meet and greet that's coming on May 10th. Got an interview up on njpw1972.com with Ryohei Oiwa talking about his journey as a young lion. We got Eddie Kingston, and Ishii official for Capital Collision. The Monday free match of the week, Antonio Inoki versus the Great Muta. And then on May 6th, Taka Tai Chi Mania returns at Korakuen Hall. So we got Suzuki-gun and NJPW roster members joining Tap Out and other independent stars for a fun and wild card. And that will be pay-per-view on NJPW World. Then we got some other questions here, and then we can get ready to close the show out. So here from Wolf Rattle, it says, with rumors of two major stars returning to the company, does the panel have a former star they'd like to see return? And I'm guessing he's alluding to potentially Kushida and Finn Balor returning.
Oh, Finn. I was like, who's the second one? Yeah, that's out there, I guess, as a rumor. A former star they'd like to see. I'd like to see one last run from AJ. I think that'd be cool. Not Bullet Club related, right? Just come over as AJ and have a run. I don't think it'll happen. I think he's gonna retire with WWE. But yeah, that would be Finn, I think actually is probably my actual choice, but he's kind of already people are already spitting rumors. I honestly don't think that's happening either. I think that he's made a life in the US, and but artists want to make art, right? So
Yeah.
that may come into play here. So would love to see him return and just like put the Bullet Club stuff to rest, or just take ownership of it all. Like that, the timing couldn't be better if that were going to be the case.
Right. And also, we don't know his contract status, but he has been eating a ton of losses on TV right now. Wasn't even booked for WrestleMania. So yeah, I mean, Finn Balor, I mean, he was on such a hot run when he was leaving New Japan. Like, he was getting in that heavyweight division, having that feud with Tanahashi, getting heavyweight title matches still as a junior. He wasn't really up as a heavyweight, technically. He was still a junior, getting title shots, being in the G1. So now as a full-on, big WWE star, like, I can only imagine the kind of push he would get in New Japan if he came back. And he would definitely be a heavyweight, and it'd be a ton of fun.
That would be really fun, especially if it happened kind of soon with all this Bullet Club mumbo jumbo as the originator, right?
Right. Or like you mentioned, Jay White Open Challenge. Jay has been calling himself the last rock and roller. So what if you had, the real rock and roller, Prince Devitt, come out and answer that USFJ Open Challenge?
Man, I don't think it'll happen, but man, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be
very fun. There's a lot to like about that, Jeremy.
I know. I'm going to throw it out there in the universe.
Put it in the universe.
Let's see what happens.
The thing that tips me off that nothing's happening here is that Finn posted that picture with like the Bullet Club in the background, like.
Right. I mean, it was fan art that he was sharing.
Yeah, but he like saved it and shared it on his own. It wasn't like a retweet.
Right.
Like,
true.
It was cool. It was very cool fan art.
Yeah.
But that kind of tips me off that it's not happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be sweet though.
Yeah.
Big pop for me if that happened.
Less Commission 7252 says, if Fred Rosser doesn't beat Tom Lawler for the New Japan Strong Championship, should mini G1 Climax on Strong happen weekly on Strong, where the winner should get a shot at Lawler at the end of the year? Lawler can be eligible in the tournament, but it would make things interesting on having the true winner of the tournament be the one to finally dethrone Lawler.
The American G1 is like Fetch in Mean Girls. Y'all need to stop trying to make it happen.
That is true. People
single elimination, something or other. New Japan Cup USA. That all makes sense. You cannot run a round robin tournament with monthly tapings.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. Because what if somebody gets hurt outside of tapings, and then they can't?
You can't have guys wrestle 3 times in a night. I mean, I guess you could, but you're not going to. Not in this climate.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, but it's not happening.
Yeah, I mean,
G1 USA is not a thing.
Yeah, they're
not yet.
I mean, and there's so many guys on Strong who have not challenged Lawler yet. I think you keep doing the come out and challenge method until you finally find the guy to beat Tom. But I do think that Fred Rosser is going to be the guy. I mean, this is going to be his, 3rd title shot. I mean, if he loses, kind of we talk about like with Naito and Yo, like super geek status, like you get beat 3 times in a row by Lawler. Like, I think Rosser has to be the one to beat Lawler whenever that's going to happen. And I think Rosser's earned it. He's worked super hard. He's really adapted to the New Japan style. And there's been a great story of him and Philly Tom. They won the match of the year on Strong, the fan voted poll 2 years in a row now. So yeah, I think it makes all sense to have him be the one to beat Tom.
Yeah. But isn't the stip if he loses now, he doesn't get the challenge again?
What? Nothing.
I think that's what they're talking about.
Right. Nothing's official yet, but I think it'll be one of those, kind of like last ditch. Yeah, if you lose, you can never challenge for a Strong title again, kind of thing.
Yeah, which is kind of, to me, a little bit of a tell that he's probably going to win.
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Also, that's after New Japan is done with Capital Collision next month in May, should the best of their Japanese talent like Ishii and Suzuki and the best of the foreign talent like Ospreay and Cobb in Japan for the G1 in July, just in case anything happens with travel issues.
Are Ishii and Suzuki the best? Never mind. I think they've got a lot of the travel stuff sorted. So I think those guys are gonna be in. I think Ishii, Osprey, Cobb are gonna be in the G1. I don't know if we're gonna see another G1 from Suzuki. I think Suzuki's in a good place where he's doing his greatest hits tour that's going to go on forever, kind of like Kiss's farewell tour that I think is still happening.
Yeah.
Like, and it's every now and then Suzuki's going to pop up and have one of those awesome Suzuki matches, right? And sometimes he's just going to have chop battles, which is also really fun. I've never had more fun watching a pro wrestling match live than I did watching Ishii and Suzuki. And it was followed up by a legitimate match of the year contender, but I still had more fun watching Ishii and Suzuki.
Yeah, that Ishii-Suzuki match was awesome. It was what you would expect from those two guys, and they absolutely killed it.
It was the perfect version of their match, which is really cool to be in the room for.
Yeah.
And I mean, the sounds are so different from inside the building. But I know you guys already kind of dissected that, but it was awesome. But like, so I don't know that you're going to see, I don't think there's going to be travel issues. You know, I mean, I think anyone who's got a visa issue, we already know about that. I think they've got probably an ideal lineup and then some backups to work things out for the G1. I think the math adds up that you're probably going to see 11 people in each block, 10 matches. But there's, like we've already kind of talked about, there's so much talent that they have access to. And I know they've been working on getting people back in Japan in various capacities for a long time. So they're, and we even see with like Noah right now, like Noah brought in something like 11 outsiders or 11 foreigners over the last like 2 weeks, and they've all shown up and they're there for X amount of time. Like they've been able to sort that stuff out, and New Japan is equally capable of making that happen. So you're gonna see guys start to fly over oceans with ease again. And so I don't think you necessarily need like us to stock up the backups. So anyone that you want into the tournament, I think there's a way to figure it out, aside from maybe a situation like Jay White's.
Right, yeah. So yeah, that should be fun though. G1 with all those guys coming over should be awesome. I mean, Super Juniors will be our true answer, like of what the situation's looking like.
If like Mascara Dorada and TJP, if guys like that start showing up, the doors are starting to open up.
Yeah. Any opinions on Elon Musk buying Twitter? What kind of changes do you think will happen?
I spend very little time thinking about Twitter, so I have no opinion except that a rich guy bought a rich guy thing. Yeah,
I mean, to me, I haven't really paid too much attention to the story. I'm gonna keep using Twitter until it gets to a point maybe I don't want to use it, and we jump on to the next thing. So
yeah, I'll keep using Twitter in the same capacity I use it, which is my Twitter rule, which I don't know if I've ever said this publicly. It's only state facts. No opinions. No opinions on Twitter. Everyone else has one. You don't need mine. So facts only. Never an opinion. Maybe a little breadcrumb. A little Chicago
a little GIF.
Japan logo. A little GIF in the DMs. Twitter's great for DMs.
Yeah.
Never an opinion and rarely a reply. Just drop what you need to say. Get out there. Get the hell out. Call it a day. Turn the app off. Don't even have the app. Go in with the web app. It's great. It's a great life. Drop a picture of the United Center randomly. Totally random. Didn't know anything about it. Nope. Didn't have the date right. I didn't have the date right. Nope. Not me.
Reddit user WizFactor says, I keep hearing guys talk about Fight TV's business model and whether they will be around long term. I'd like to learn more, but I can't find any tweet or podcast talking about how Fight makes money. Can you guys point me in the right direction? I mean, I don't have any specifics on their business model and how the numbers they're doing or how they're making money. I think the Observers had some stuff on it, but I mean, just based off of the poor quality that we've gotten with pretty much every New Japan show they've done. Like they keep kind of burning customers, and I have a hard time seeing people continuing to want to buy pay-per-views from them.
What I'll say is I've never had an issue with a fight pay-per-view that wasn't a New Japan show.
Mm.
It pains me to say that, but it's the truth.
Yeah,
it's the truth. But again, also though, all those shows that are also on Fight stream on New Japan World for Japanese, and those feeds are fine.
Yeah,
like always, every time the Japanese feed is always clear as day, looks great, no issues, So I don't understand like the technicalities of it, but like I don't know what the disconnect is. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah,
the difference on the surface looks like it's Fight.
Yeah, so. But yeah, they do seem to be doing fine for other companies. And again, I don't have the exact numbers and stuff. I'm sure maybe WrestleNomics or The Observer has probably looked at their business model and if that'll succeed or not. But usually,
I think they're only growing. I mean, more and more companies have used the service.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know how much of that stuff that is live gets the same numbers as like a New Japan show.
Right.
So maybe that comes into play here.
Yeah. Well, gonna close it down for the questions right now. I know there's a few more, but we're hitting up against that 3-hour mark here. Don't want to keep Chris up too much longer here.
Hey, I'm on Central Time. It's only 10:30 for me.
Well, I won't keep myself up too much longer. And for recommended match of the week, Josh did message me, and we're gonna hold off.
Oh, wow. I was going to say I picked one just now.
Because we're doing this whole new format now where we're picking 2 matches, and it's more of like a Josh and Jeremy recommends kind of thing, and where we bounce off of each other with the recommended and excursion match kind of thing. So
I have heard this. That's fine.
I mean, if you want to throw out a match for everybody to watch this week.
I was just going to recommend the first Okada-Naito match. Well, not the first, but the second Okada-Naito match from March 4th, 2012. It's the last IWGP Heavyweight Championship match that happened at Korakuen Hall. It was really the beginning of this era, right? And I think now as we go into another big Okada-Naito match, it's really cool throwback. It's a lot faster. It's a really hot Korakuen crowd. Yeah, and the top title in New Japan hasn't been defended in Korakuen since then. So I'll put that out there as a bonus recommended match of the week. March 4th, 2012, Okada versus Naito. Really the beginning of their story, the beginning of the same stories that are still being told in New Japan too. Is really the beginning of the Bushiroad era. A cool match. I went back and watched it this weekend just because I saw it posted on Reddit actually. And I was like, damn, that's a cool match. Yeah, I should go watch that. And so as we were talking tonight, I was like, I know I'm going to be put on spot for recommended match of the week. So I was ready for it. So there's your bonus.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely a fun match to check out before this Sunday's Wrestling Dontaku. Well, Chris, thanks so much again for stepping in for the young boy like you've done so many times now. Appreciate you being the third man, like the guy that can, easily, jump in the seat here.
I'm just the pin eater. Yeah, tag me when you got to take an L.
Chris, go ahead and tell the listeners where they can find you online. If there's anything else you want to plug or anything else you got coming up.
You can see my Twitter strategy in action at the Chris Samsa and sportofprowrestling.com for kind of raw stats and data, and then kind of big event previews at voicesofwrestling.com.
Nice. So make sure you guys follow Chris, check out all his great work. And next week, we'll be back to review Wrestling Dontaku and cover all latest news in New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the Keeping It Strong Style logo, the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. I'm at Jeremy L. Donovan. The network is at Social Suplex. You can follow us also on Facebook, Social Suplex on Facebook, on Instagram, or at Social Suplex. On Reddit, on the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences, hosted by Caleb and Maserati. All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd and Austin. The AEW Match Guy Podcast, hosted by Sir Sam. The Great Match Generator, hosted by Danny. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
Underdog Fantasy is the fastest growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.